In the middle of the night, or early Friday morning, depending upon where you are in the world, a group of experienced comics professionals get together to examine and instruct about the art form that they love. That's great comic artwork on Comics by Night, Fridays at 5 a.m. Eastern, here on the Indie Comics Network, indiecomicsnetwork.com.
What was that? This is not a charade.
What a beautiful crowd we have today, folks. Another beautiful day, another Thursday morning full of sizzles and full of bacon. It's going to be a great day.
After
Great
seeing
day
that intro there,
indeed.
we have to go back. We have
Yes,
to go
let us all go back.
Let's go
Guys,
back.
did you like the new intro this morning?
Yeah.
That music is provided by Edge of the Blade, who Alan, the drummer for that band, will be joining us today around 10 a.m. So he'll be coming on and we'll be talking a little bit about the process of and kind of how the music industry and the comic book industry have both kind of started this evolution of moving away from traditional publishers and traditional labels and going independent, because this is their first fully independent album that they're releasing. Alan is originally, he was one of the founding members of a band called Shy. I don't know if you're familiar with their music at all, but I know if I name one song, you'll know who they are. I know it's only rock and roll,
But I like it.
but I like it.
Yeah.
Yes, so that was their claim to fame. So they have, they're actually testing out the tools on our platform and running their album at a very, very conservative funding goal on Fund My Comic.
Nice.
So my goal today is that we flip them the bird. Currently, there's one backer, and it's me, and that's not enough.
Yeah.
And you get a free track. You get a free track for backing on Fund My Comic. So, but we get to talk with him today, and they said, "Hey, why don't you take one of the songs and use it as your intro?" And so I got friggin' that. They sent over some songs, and I saw that one, and I was like, yeah.
Can you please highlight Glenn's comment?
They might have wrote it, but I know it was recorded
No,
by.
the one before. The one before.
I prefer the old one.
That kind of dates you, Glenn.
He prefers the old one. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll go back and forth between the two. I spent on a whim. I spent some time doing a new intro thing. Probably not for Nerd Bacon, but probably for a hybrids commercial of some kind. Because we've got to start working on, I'm giving all these tips and all these tricks and everything out to everybody on what they, you should do this, and this will help you promote your book, and this will help you get more eyes. And, I'm not doing any of that crap myself.
Ouch.
I'm just not doing it myself. Glenn says, I like good things. I don't change with the wind. Let's go ahead and welcome our chat. Well, we don't have many of you chatting right now, so we'll let you guys get caught up with us while we do our basic intros over here, hanging out a little bit. But yeah, feeling pretty nostalgic this morning. Put that video together last night for that intro. All those movies, man. There was an aesthetic back then when you couldn't just rely on a computer to do it for you, with all these CG effects and stuff. Like that Harry Met Sally shot is so iconic that, that park and then just off this, just great. In my opinion, they had great cinematography back then. And, I try to let it influence a lot of my sequential storytelling, but
It wasn't just the cinematography either. It was absolutely everything about the era was, and as far as media went, it's fantastic. The 80s in particular in movie making is just like, I don't know. There's something about it you're never, ever going to get again or see again, period.
Yeah, it'll definitely go down as a high point in cinema. Just everything was on all cylinders during that era, and it's taken us 40 years to forget all about it. So
Yeah.
when we go to make movies,
I mean, we haven't forgotten about it. We're making all of it.
it's all warped away
Badly.
from it. There's not very rarely do you see a solid movie come out anymore that follows the old style formula. I got a book on from a screen doctor from that era, and they were talking about how they were the structure and how you patch the A and B story together, that kind of thing. And that there's a lot of that's neglected anymore in filmmaking. They might think it's artsy, but a lot of times it's just bad storytelling.
Right, yeah.
You know,
I mean, they're preoccupied with other things.
it's
That's
Art
the
or
thing.
bad storytelling. You take the pick.
subverting expectations. That
Exactly.
kind of
Yeah,
stuff doesn't serve your audience.
and filling quotas and
Yeah.
representation and whatnot instead of telling a good story. So yeah.
Oh, I don't know if you heard about
They,
this
they
or not.
literally don't make them like that anymore.
Yeah,
They just don't.
exactly.
I don't know if you heard about this or not, but not propaganda, a Chinese communist newspaper was blasting Disney for their race swapping. In fact, what they said was, he said at some point, people are going to care less about what happens with the prince and the princess, and more about what color the prince and the princess are. And I'm like, whoa, that's really scathing coming from a propaganda newspaper.
Yeah, well,
Right?
the Chinese.
I mean, when the
feel-
propaganda is
feel-
calling out your
I
propaganda.
think you're already seeing that. I think
Yeah.
in a lot of circles, you're already
That's
seeing
already
that.
that's already happening, and dude, I'm not surprised because the Chinese feel a certain way about race, and they don't have the hangups we have in the West to speak out. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you saw that with the Finn posters with the Star Wars stuff.
Yep.
Oh no, and the commercials, dude. The commercials are brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, they
They
make
really
me
are.
laugh. They make me laugh because I don't find them that attractive either. So it's like you don't like me, I don't like you, kind of thing. But yeah, it's funny.
So I'm gonna bring this up. Here it goes.
Yeah,
Since we're talking about it,
yeah.
Asians and race and stuff like that, let's go ahead and effectively cancel ourselves today.
Yeah, let's do it.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Why the
we
hell
have
not?
we have
right?
one foot in the bucket. Let's put two.
Did you see this? So apparently, this Asian MIT student asked AI to turn an image of her into a professional headshot.
Oh.
Well, that's some.
AI Adolf, nice.
AI Adolf.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not artificial. It's Adolf intelligence is what
Yeah,
it is.
exactly. Adolf
Holy
intelligence.
cow! Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Turn it into a professional headshot.
Yeah.
Yep. It made that cute little Asian girl a blonde gal with blue
Yeah,
eyes.
professional Viking. Love
Can you
it.
believe it?
I can.
This is what we're dealing with these days, guys. This is the
The Brave New World.
brave new world.
Well, on the positive side, the person who programmed the AI is race blind.
Right.
Probably.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
Oh no.
And while we're at it, here you go.
Oh.
I bookmarked the ones that are actually safe to
Land.
play now.
Yeah, dude. That
That's
kid
good.
grew up like 2 years. Oh.
He grew up to be that guy.
Oh. Sucks to be you, buddy. Sucks to be you.
Now this kid has no problem with race. None whatsoever. We all know this look.
Nice.
he's like, yeah, she digs me.
He's like, oh yeah, she cute.
Dude, he's like brown sugar and
Ah, you make me feel so good.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. This fella paid a lot for that ride and
Yeah,
sleeping through it.
Yeah, exactly. You missed it.
But wait for it. Yeah, that'd be about right.
Dude, yeah. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, that looks.
Oh.
That's an impressive splash.
Yeah, dude. Wow. Well, I mean, that's a lot of mass.
That's a lot of man right there.
Yeah, exactly. I know what's happening here. Get out of here, kid. You bother me. Yeah.
Get out of here, kid. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you build character. Okay.
There you go.
Oh, you threw it back, buddy.
Oh my god.
I've seen that guy on the boat. Oh, he's like, oh no. It's that moment of realization, that 2 seconds after it leaves your hand.
Yeah.
That, oh, I messed up. Yes, yes, you did, my
I
friend.
mean, without trying to be racist, because it's one of my people who said, "Oh no, what did I do?"
One of my people, hey, just so everybody knows, we have 9 hours left on this survey that we're doing over here on Twitter from my comic. We are going to be implementing a new feature, and it is up to you to decide. We're either going to do the featured tiers, or we're going to do fulfillment tracking for
Dude.
creators on the back end.
Fulfillment tracking is a new thing. I haven't seen that on pink or green.
Oh,
at
they've
all.
got it. It's just
They
a
got
different
it?
thing that we do. Yeah,
Okay.
it's where you can categorize your transactions as fulfilled or not.
Okay.
So you can mark them as fulfilled on the back end instead of through. It's a feature I want.
Yeah.
So we're doing that. 9 hours left on that. Right now, fulfillment tracking is in the lead. It was my vote because that's what I wanted.
Yeah, me too.
Seems a lot of people do. We've had 110 votes so far. That's not too bad. Oh, did you hear about this? I mean, we all know Agatha Harkness is one of the most profound comic book characters of all ages.
Oh, yeah.
I collected all her books.
Sure. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We're so excited about it, right?
Uh-huh.
So it turns out Disney Plus is going to give her her own series.
Yeah, they
Not only
announced it a
that, they're
while
going to
ago.
make her. And you know what? I would not be happy if they didn't make her gay. And it turns out they are doing just that for me.
I mean, they can make her gay. I wouldn't touch her anyway, so.
Who cares if she's gay or
definitely.
not?
Definitely.
Who cares if they're making Agatha Harkness? Talk about a C level or D level character.
Mm-hmm.
They thought the numbers on Secret Invasion were bad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Wait till they see that one.
They
Yeah.
made Secret Invasion?
They
Did
made
they
it.
make that?
They made it. Oh yeah, and there's that
No,
MIT
no.
student
They
again.
tried to make it.
They're really, really catering to the only customers they have left now. I
The
guess.
3 left? Yeah.
Yeah, cause you see the same thing recently. I saw a post about the Ninja Turtles, the movie, whether you like it or hate it or not, and it was
Yeah.
catered to that. Like someone was in the comments was saying, like, I took my mom to this and she loved it. I'm like,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
it makes sense.
It's for the wine drinking housewife.
Yeah, that's their whole market.
It's
now.
not for us now, guys,
No.
and that's okay.
We have been displaced.
You know what? I'm glad that Agatha Harkness has gotten her
Yeah.
day in the sun. Speaking of day in the sun, Lizzo apparently forced some
dude.
dancers to eat bananas from the vaginas of sex workers in Amsterdam, and then was fat shaming one of them.
One banana, two banana.
Oh my God. Talk about.
Lizzo fat shaming anyone.
Yeah, the kettle calling the pot.
What is? Yeah, it's like it's like the.
Come, Mr.
Yeah.
Tallyman, telling me banana. Jesus, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Harry Belafonte. Awesome song, dude.
Have
Yeah.
some.
Hey, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Have some-
so it turns out that Lizzo falls victim to many of these stars where they put out this face like, oh, they're such a nice person and they're so perfect and very nice and, you know, whatever. And it turns out that she's not. She is
philanthropist. Yeah.
she's an Ellen DeGeneres.
You get a few happy teenies in you, and your true self comes out.
Right. Yeah.
That's what
You,
it is. It's
you
just
spend
an
one night in
example.
Amsterdam and everyone knows the
Yeah.
truth about you.
The
Dude, the thing is
decadence
that
of the rich is what this
People don't respect Amsterdam. Then the stuff there is strong. So yeah, keep it on your
mean-
toes. I only know the only thing I know about Lizzo is that she's huge. Aside from being good or bad,
is big in
I don't know.
Japan.
yeah,
It's big in Japan.
She's big
mama.
everywhere.
she's big everywhere she goes.
And I mean that as a fat person.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, fat too. Yeah.
They have sumo.
No, I mean as a fat person. I'm speaking for my kind.
Okay.
Everyone's like, Luke's fat shaming Lizzo. Look, as soon as she fat shamed one of her dancers, who is
Yeah,
by
the
far
gloves
more
are
fit
off.
than she is, gloves are off, my friend.
Yep.
that would
that's
be
what
what day
happens.
of the week is it, and what is she wearing?
Yeah. Oh, look, somebody made a Ethan Van Piver T-shirt.
Nice.
Funny.
It's on Fun My Comic, by the way. Ethan Van Piver.
Even Van Piper.
That's good stuff. That's good
It's
stuff.
accurate.
It's funny.
The
All right.
beard though, I take umbrage with the beard. It should be jet black.
Yeah.
Colleen Duran,
Good Omens adaptation launches on Kickstarter.
longtime creator.
Yep.
Nice.
So they're finally talking about Kickstarter
Mm-hmm.
on the old, what you call this thing? ICV squared.
Yeah.
They're finally giving it a bone. Finally,
Yeah.
for once.
That's because it's Colleen Durant.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's Colleen Duran.
Yep.
Oh, before we do that, let's welcome the chat. We got Schism in the house. Welcome. Schism says that we could do a 3-hour long waiting video of that bacon alone. Yeah, it is a it's quite the
It is a
quite the
10-hour
thing,
loop after all.
It is. It really is. Creators Outlet says bacon, bacon, bacon.
Bacon. Yeah.
We got RJ William in the house. Welcome. Hello. This
Yep.
intro freaking slaps.
It
Yes, it
certainly
does.
does.
Glenn is in the house. We already welcomed him today.
Not according to Glenn, but yeah.
Yeah, not apparently. Not as far as Glenn's concerned.
Sup,
Hojo's in the
fellas?
house. Up, fellas. Greetings from the beach. Enjoy the beach, my friend. Beach is always fun.
Joe on the beach.
Well deserved, Hojo.
RJ says modern cinematography has too much man-ass. It really does.
Yeah.
And China does hate black people.
Yeah.
Someone tell LeBron James. Welcome, Timothy
Yeah.
Olsen's in the house. What up? Melvin 3 is doing well over on Fun My Comic right now. Be sure to check that out. Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. There's a clue there. Yeah,
Ooh.
it is actually no longer Snow White. It is it's Off White. It's Off White and the 7 mythical creatures.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
And it's no longer about a, really they're not even telling the story of Snow White. The whole
no,
princess
it's Mick Snow and the HR department. That's what I would call that movie.
Yep.
thing. Right.
Yeah.
Brown sugar.
Brown sugar.
Brown sugar.
There you go.
They did.
Yeah.
A lot
They
of
did.
Rolling Stone references this morning, my friend. You'll see it.
Yes.
RJ Williams is not feeling it this morning.
No.
Glenn has been to Amsterdam. He saw worse.
And I believe you.
I believe Glenn was this. Yeah, he was probably right in the. He was
the
like,
middle of it.
eat this. No, they were taking apparently male toys, toys of the male member, and putting them in the sex workers, and then forcing them in the mouths of the
Oh, dude.
of those dancers of her.
I think it was bananas, actually. That's why.
No, it was
Bananas.
both. It was both.
Was it both?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pedro,
Well,
cue the
it's a
song one more
lawsuit.
time.
If it was against their will, it's
Yeah. Dude, at least it was not a herring show. Does that exist?
More like Ellen DeGenerate, am I right?
Yeah.
Welcome, Eric Hawkins. You've come in at a great time. We're having a lot of fun so far. Let's go ahead and jump into some of the news here this morning. First, though, I do want to thank you guys for holding down the fort last week for me while I was in the hospital. As you can tell, I sound much better.
happy to do it.
I'm feeling much better. Yeah. Getting some work done. We're still trying to catch up from my impromptu hotel stay.
Nice.
Very expensive hotel. Doc Blaylock in the house. Welcome.
Doc.
And yeah.
Good morning.
So thank you very much. You guys did a wonderful job, and but I'm glad to be back here this week doing this again. It's always fun to do these shows.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about a couple more things additionally this morning. Top G. I don't know. Like we'll get to that eventually, and then we're working on the long game, talking about moving from traditional publishing to more customer centric distribution and kind of crowd building. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit this morning, because I know there's a lot of people out there that might have some questions and we might have questions, and the talking about it
We always
is
have
what
questions.
helps. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Inquiries.
Yep.
RJ Williams says I got to join his work meeting, then I'll come back to this fun meeting. Glad you're doing better, Luke. Thank you very much.
RJ.
My sketchbook is in the house. Welcome. It's great to have
Hey,
you here
what's
today.
up?
My
What up,
sketchbook.
Bacon and crew? We are just about to start diving into some news. Let's do that right quick. Colleen Doran. Of course, Colleen Doran gets some news, but racks up over 750,000 in pledges over one day, and there's a retail tier available. They say that like it's something special. Like we've all been doing this. Colleen
Well,
is definitely.
It's a good long-time creator with a solid property.
It
Yeah,
is.
exactly.
That has a track record. So yeah,
God bless her, man.
it's not just because she's on one side or the other that she generated that.
No, but it's. I mean, she's obviously following, some of the things that are laid out before her in order to do this. I mean, she's not new to this game.
Not
Crowdfunding's
at
been a
all.
thing for
Yeah.
a while, right?
And she'll
But
do really good with this.
She really
Yeah.
has.
Yeah.
But my here is another creator that is making a transition from traditional publishing
Oh, okay.
into
Okay.
more of a driver's seat type role.
Okay.
Well, Colleen's
So-
always been a little independent and alternative. Her first really big property was an independent series that, man, I can't even remember the title of now. I'm sorry, but it was very popular when it was out. I remember that.
Now is
I'm brain farting
is Good
this morning.
Omens? Is Good Omens part of the? Because I'm reading here the Terry Pratchett Estates, and is it Good Omens part of that? Like the Discworld stuff? Does anybody know?
Not that I'm aware of. No, the property is completely different from that.
Yeah.
Good Omens is basically a discussion about good and evil,
Okay.
Yeah,
I
it's
never-
a show that's got David Tennant in it.
with
Yeah.
a devil and with an angel and a demon
Yeah.
being best friends. Yeah,
Well, they're both trying to they're both trying to stop the end of the world
right.
Yeah.
because they like the way things are and they don't want them to end. They have very different reasons for wanting to stop
The end of the world.
apocalypse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop Armageddon, but a pretty clever. It's a very well loved show.
It's a fun series.
Yeah.
Season 2 just came out too, so her doing the campaign is ideal timing.
Yeah.
Ideal timing. Yeah.
Yep.
So you've got a great creator. You've got someone. I like this. Someone they're showing that there's money in here.
Could be made, yeah.
Again, I went to go look at the numbers for the comic books, and they are not providing. Diamond is no longer providing the sales numbers. Like I don't even get units moved. I just get what was, like, they tell us what was in the order of units moved and dollars made, but they don't actually tell us units moved or dollars made anymore.
But are we surprised about this?
I'm not
Right.
surprised by
Yeah.
that.
No,
Not even a little bit. Here's something for the game enthusiast out there. Hobby game sales were up 7% 2022. We're not going to go as in-depth as this article does, but it turns out that hobby games were 7% and up 7% in 2022 as consumer behavior and market conditions normalized and COVID impacts embedded through the year. Collectible games carried the category in dollars, while role-playing games had the fastest growth rate at smaller dollars. So we've seen this. We've seen a lot of people now trying to put step out and do and be their own.
Our own men.
Yeah, they're making their own properties now. They're trying to make their own game modules, and so we're seeing a lot of that now, as it were, because people are seeing the money that's there.
All the power
Not-
to them, I say.
not only that, but it's a great statement about the state of corporate entertainment at the moment.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when they can't do it, somebody else is gonna.
And that's something.
So,
This
and that-
is a conversation I have with several people. Like, people think just because corporate doesn't have the infrastructure anymore to do things, it doesn't mean that things are not going to be done.
Right.
They're just going to be done differently. There's going to be different ways. Artists have more work on their hands, and that's about it. But people want to be entertained because life is not just about work.
Well, and the
It's not just a
manufacturing is
want;
much
it's a
easier.
desperate need. Especially in the way the times are, the economy is,
yeah.
and the fear and loathing that is being brought forth just about from everywhere. People just want to escape, and games especially, they get a chance to escape into their own head and their own imagination, and that's why you're seeing the numbers like this grow.
Yeah, games, comic books, movies, video games. It all springs from the same need to basically disconnect for a little while and then go back into the.
Yeah.
People really do want
Desperately.
escapism.
Yep.
And like
And
one
then-
of the great things about like
and it's rare.
hobby games.
Go ahead, Whiskey.
So one of the great things about hobby games too, their tabletop games and stuff like that, is that generally it takes more than one person to play that you don't generally
Yeah.
see with video games, or like you can watch a movie with your family or whatever, watch a TV show, but it's a little different when you're interacting with them. And what I'd say about the market, particularly hobbies and games, like producing them has never been easier. You can produce them digitally and have people 3D print them out. You can produce them yourself, 3D print the stuff out yourself, recast, hire somebody else to do it. It has never been easier to get into the production of games, particularly tabletop games of that nature. Whether you're using like meeples or miniatures.
Yep.
You're going to see more people doing personalized things because it's so much easier to, and more entertaining if there's a group of 6 or 7 people around playing Dungeons and Dragons and working off of their own imaginations.
Oh, Pathfinder now.
Than to try to do some corporate entity and have to deal with their politics and their preachiness and all of this. You can just stop it and have your own fun.
Yeah. Exactly, and a lot of these bigger names too, which are pushing people out into the industry to make their own stuff. They're putting stuff in their like trigger warnings in their books and just making it all like you say political. Nobody really wants that. People just want escapism. They don't want to.
And put in rules that make no sense. Like you need an Eskimo, an African American, and an Asian on your table, or you're all racist.
Well, we saw what. Hasbro was trying to do with bring in some of the woke vibe, right? And it's largely been rejected. Like people are, look, it's you tailor your own game experience.
That's what's called home.
The very idea that someone can be in, try to be in somebody's business for every game that's out there being played is ridiculous. It's almost like, the government trying to be in everybody's bedroom. It's like, come on, you got to chill out with this stuff.
It's that need to control, man. It's that need to control.
Dr. Ben, thank you very much. It's great to be out of the hospital and back at it. Yeah. So it looks like 2023 has some trends. The normalization of the hobby game market took hold along multiple fronts. Supply chains got cheaper and faster through the year, with the congestion that clogged port and domestic carriers in the depths of the pandemic waning. While some shortages persisted, they were few and far between by the end of the year. Overall demand moved towards pre-COVID levels. Collectibles cooled off dramatically as consumers shifted focus from the investing and speculating to spending. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but there's finally been some criticism of the mainstream, or the big two, because they have focused more on speculation and instead of content for fans.
After 30
on the comic
years.
books, yeah.
Nice.
They've just been trying to cater to sales.
Yeah.
We've been saying this and saying this, yeah.
A buying public that's ever shrinking because there's less and less people walking into the retail shops because they don't have reason to go.
Nope. At the same time, at-home activities were shrinking as a share of time, which led to less time for gaming. We'll talk about that a little bit today, too. I like how this article touches a lot of things because we're actually on an economy of attention. That's what we have to realize, that, if you're gonna grab more dollars, it's because you have to grab more attention. You have to be worth someone spending their attention and time on.
Yeah.
So, with supply chains catching up, the demand shrinking, inventory started to pile up, and trade had to work through, those issues, largely by cutting orders, especially at mass retail. Inflation, especially on food, was high in 2022, pulling down spending on discretionary items like games, especially for those at the lower end of the income scale. Those trends were felt more at mass retail, where they combined with the higher inventory to produce more drastic cutbacks in the hobby games at the end of the year. Let's go and move along a little bit further down here. Let's go. In hobby game stores, organized play grew slowly through the year, although not to pre-pandemic levels. Conventions also returned, also at lower attendance levels, and exhibitor participation than in 2019. One of the things they're not talking about here is that the number of independent writers, game masters that are creating their own content is higher than it used to be.
Well, that makes sense based on
And more
production.
people are going after that.
Yeah.
Like fewer people are feeling like they have to buy the licensed product,
Right.
and they're wanting to go after these smaller producers. And I think the pandemic had something to do with that.
Absolutely did.
I think when everyone went pencils down, or these different companies, stopped doing anything, what they
The dumbest
started,
move ever.
yeah, dumb move, really dumb move. But what I saw happening was the consumer was still buying. They just moved their sites to a different
Product.
shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sold books like crazy. And I know I bought a lot of books from independent creators that I probably would never have looked at. And now people understand that there could be very high quality entertainment that could be found from these independent publishers and these game developers and these basically no-name individuals that when they give them their dollars, they're not propping up a corporation, because I think everyone right now is really upset with corporations. But they're not propping those up. They're actually helping an individual.
And you definitely can see that with, especially people moving out to independents or different companies or smaller companies, with the just the general attitude of the larger, a couple larger things. Wizards of the Coast, their behavior. Warhammer 40,000 and their not Warhammer, Games Workshop. and their
Game Workshop,
behavior.
yeah.
People are just tired of a lot of the stuff. They're very old IPs, and they've been around for a long time, but they're kind of like wearing skin suits of their former self.
And
nostalgia's
taking
burnt out,
and taking the customer for granted. That's
Exactly,
the biggest problem of
Yeah.
the big corporations. Like I've been told, I'm anti-corporate. Like not really. I'm just anti-suit. And what I mean by that, it's people in charge that don't know the hobbies, don't care about it, and only counting dollars. Like you see it in the end result. The product suffers. They come up with ideas that nobody likes, and they get abandoned.
Exactly.
Yep.
So here's a breakdown in dollars so you guys can see it. So this is what they call collectible games, is where it's blind packaging, where you don't see what it is, like Magic the Gathering, things like that, where you've got to buy in order to try to get that special piece. $1.51 billion in 2022. Non-collectible miniatures, where people would go and just buy, some sold, they're pre-painted, others not. So just the miniature game alone, $525 million it did in 2022. Board games did 470 million, guys. Board games. Card and dice games, 180 million. And then role-playing games is at 180 million. I mean, wow.
There's a huge market there for a lot of this stuff. I guess in the industry of comics, we'll hear a lot about it. But there's a thriving community. There's companies out there, basically just killing it, doing everything from direct to 3D printer to physical stuff, and it's just never been easier to get into. Right, you can get like proxy stuff as well. People are doing like copies of other stuff it's been going on for a while that are kind of similar but not quite, like one-page rules. The market's there. Like if you ever have an idea to get into making your own tabletop games, making your own miniatures, all that kind of stuff, the iron is hot. It's a great time to be in that particular business. People are hungry for it. People want something new, and they're willing to buy it.
Right. I think that's, again, something else for us to talk about when we really start getting into our public, into our discussion later. Speaking of which, let me go ahead and bring in our one of our guests, Alan Kelly. Welcome, Alan Kelly.
Hey.
All right, guys. Just so you know, I can't see nothing. So apart from being, I can't see anyway. But there's nothing on my screen apart from me. So
That's all right. We'll describe what you need.
Since I'm pretty vain, that'll do. All right. Hey.
Right. Alan Kelly is you're the drummer and guitar player, right? And keyboard player?
Yeah, I'm multi-instrumentalist for Edge of the Blade. I mean, I was the drummer for Shy way back, but on this sort of latest things, everything's all computerized. So yeah, drummer is not exactly what it is, but yeah, we do use a live drummer. But initially, I lay out all the drummers up.
You do all the goodies.
And then send them away, and they do their bits.
You're what I would call the sequential artist of the band.
I like this. I like this.
The heavy lifter right there.
The
one that
good.
gets it done.
I'll take that.
Your voiceover for the trailer that we're going to watch later is perfect. Like, just, you've got the best voice for, like...
Okay. If you've got any voiceover work, send it my way. I'll do that.
I certainly will, man. I felt so friggin' happy watching that video. I was like, man, this is awesome. This is great. So we played our new intro this morning using State of Love as the background music, man. What a cooking track, man. That thing is fire.
It was
pretty good, isn't it? Yeah.
So
I think, that's a far second album in, I think, that one. I know a few people have covered it, but there you go. That's a good track. I like it.
It is a good track. So I don't know if you were filled in on what Nerd Bacon is. We do a lot of pop culture, comic book industry news, and things like that, and publishing, self-publishing news, and those kind of things. So we're going over a little bit of news right now. Feel free to chime in, give your opinion on some of these things.
I've got to be honest. I'm not hugely up on the comic sort of situation, whatever. So I'm intrigued to see what you come out with. So if I can chip in, I will do. But
yeah, hopefully you'll learn a thing or two then this morning.
Don't be surprised if I don't.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we were just talking about right now the ability. It's never been easier to publish comics, games, and even music. Like, everything is right at our fingertips now.
Yeah.
The need for traditional distribution and publishing is almost obsolete, I think. As long as you can find the fans, right? It's just finding that market and getting in there.
This is the key. We're finding exactly that with the music. It's tough. I mean, exactly. You've got to have the market. There's plenty of people know Edge of the Blade and myself and John and all the rest of it, but they're not the buy-in audience, if you know what I mean. It's tough to get to them. So you've got to find new ways of doing it.
Yeah, it's the people that buy it, right? So, and I think also that with this kind of influx of new technologies, where you've got print on demand, like what you were saying, Whiskey. You've got direct to 3D print miniatures and games and stuff like that, right? So you can one-off these board games or these miniature games, basically.
And you can go right to the house too, which is interesting because we have a gentleman from the Britain over here. Is that Britain was for the longest time one of the major manufacturers of miniatures, right? Games Workshop and stuff comes all that stuff, all the Warhammer 40,000 and all those miniature games. Nowadays, you don't really need any of that. You can just, like you said, you can just go right to the direct to 3D printer. You can 3D print yourself. You can recast. And it just goes to show you the market's thriving. You can see the numbers there, and people are just making their own stuff now. They don't need to go through the giants anymore and deal with these companies. They can just, we're Star Trek basically. You just ask for a fish sandwich and it just materializes in front of you.
Yeah. So the next thing we're going to talk about is this article here on ICV Squared that so the skinny is this. Texas has implemented a law that goes into effect on September 1st that says if you produce a book or sell a book to a library, you have to let the library know if it has sexually relevant or sexually explicit material in it. Right? So that's the law. And it retroacts that if you have anything in your active catalog now you also have to let them know. You have to slap a categorization on this, right? This seems like a no-brainer to me. Like, it seems common, right? I mean, the music industry had to do this a while back. You know, like, you have to put explicit lyrics on there, you know, for the parents to know what they're getting and things like that. Mm-hmm. And whether you agree with that or not, I mean, it's in my opinion, it's
video games have a rating system.
Right.
Comics has a rating system, and they're all of those
movies,
areas of entertainment, movies, absolutely. All of those areas of entertainment have all had their problems in the past, and this is how they solved the problem: is by doing a label, not censoring, but doing a label, letting folks know who's supposed to be buying their books.
Let them know what they're getting into, right?
Yep. Yes.
I would think that this would be a simple thing. What's that?
Particularly the parents as well, being able easily to identify, because they're not necessarily going to read. Their parents aren't necessarily going to read the material. Having it right on the cover, "This is not for kids," is oh, maybe you shouldn't read that. You know, Timmy, give me that.
Timmy,
we require that on Fun My Comic, and so far we haven't had anybody complain that, oh, I can't believe you're making me say this is for adults only. I mean, if someone would complain about that, my first thought would be, well, why do you want to sneak in sexually explicit material to kids? First off, like, my thought is, like, you know, when everyone was like, well, why do you care if the drag queen has story time? I'm like, well, why does the drag queen want story time? Let me ask that. That's always as a libertarian, you know, and a person who trusts no one, my default is, well, why do you want to do the thing that you want to do? Like, even like when I look at politicians, when they start running for office, well, why do you want to be the president? Like, there's got to be a reason, because, you know. And so my question is, well, why do you not want this rating system? And so let's get in this article. The Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, American Booksellers Association, the Association of American Publishers, the Authors Guild, and 2 Texas booksellers, Austin's Book People and West Houston's Blue Willow Bookshop, have sued in federal court to prevent the implementation of this new Texas law.
They're probably going to try to slide off on a technicality.
Well, here's their argument.
It
is central to the First Amendment that the government can neither restrain nor compel speech, but this law will enforce booksellers to label constitutionally protected works. I feel this argument is poppycock.
It is.
Because they're not compelling, nor are they restraining. They're simply saying, have a little bit of decency, own some responsibility in the process, and let people know what's in the books.
Yeah.
Look, put as many dongs in there as you want.
Yeah.
Just let us know that there's dongs in there before you give it to kids.
Yeah, put the dong advisory.
That way, if the parent decides they want their kid looking at dongs, they know. And if they don't, they know.
Yes.
It's that simple, guys.
It pushes a bit of responsibility back onto the publishers that they don't want to have to handle.
You know what? I like that. That's dong warning.
Yeah.
Dong warning.
The dong warning. Why not?
Oh, dear.
RJ William thinks that you have a rock star accent, Alan.
Nice.
Oh, thank you very much.
You do.
If only had the rock star wealth to go with it.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, that would be awesome, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The misconception in the world is that if you are in music or the arts, that somehow you have money. And the truth is, the majority of musicians, artists, and actors are quite broke.
Well, I wouldn't say I was broke, but I would like to be making money off what I do. It'd be nice to earn something off what I do. I enjoy doing it, and if there's an audience out there, I'd like to find them to. I'm sure they'd like it as well if they could only hear it. It's just how to get it to them.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna
I'm grateful to you guys for helping us try and do, crack into something new, a new audience there. That's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. So we do this thing, we call it flipping the bird, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. Whenever we make money for anything on this platform, whether it's a super chat or a new member or someone backs a campaign that we're talking about on the air, we have a little bird that we make dance, and we call it flipping. We flip them the bird. So guys, today what I want you to do is consider flipping Alan the bird. Okay? In fact, I don't want you to consider. I demand that we flip him the bird today. We're gonna go with demands.
Actually, we had a question. Me and Luke were listening to some of your music earlier, and just because I really have to ask, like, what is stack? What's the stack you're using in the tracks we've heard? What's going on? What's the gear? I want to know.
You've lost me. What do you mean by that? Stack?
Your gear.
The gear.
Your amp.
Yeah.
We don't call it stacks.
You
call it
talking
amps.
anything specific? A particular recording?
The
or
lead.
just generally?
The lead on that State of Love.
State of
What
Love.
is that?
So I would have played the lead guitar on that. So I hate to disappoint you, but it's the sound that's within the my Mac that I use, the Logic.
Okay.
So I don't have like a wall full of Marshall cabs or
no.
anything like that mic'd up. I wish.
I imagined
so
that. What was the model that it was based on?
Yeah.
Because we were having a discussion whether it was Marshall or what'd you say, Luke?
I thought it was Mesa Boogie.
Mesa?
It could have been. I honestly, it's the generic. It's the generic sound of that's in Logic for distorted guitars.
So we will never know.
Yeah, well, I could find out.
We will never know if it was a brown or a silver amp.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
It's just the generic one. I honestly don't know what it is. I record those and then hand it to somebody else that they then sort of mic it up and stick it. I actually might be right with the Mesa Boogie, to be honest with you. We have a guy in Greece that does most of the mixing, and he sort of puts the DI sound through his amps, and so I'm not party to what he actually puts it through, but I believe it's Mesa Boogie.
Pedro's showing off his. I use a Helix, is what I use.
Yeah, I have that
Helix
line.
these days.
I have that line 6. The thing's like I'm partial to 5150s, but this has a really good like 5150 model, and I record with this actually.
Yeah, I use a.
I have. I'm looking at that now. I've got a line amp there, line 6, right there, but I don't use it. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use a Helix, and I run stereo two AC30s.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Dual AC30s out of phase.
Check it out. So you guys are in music as well. Do you got bands going and stuff?
Yeah, most of us here are musicians.
Yeah.
Whiskey's a guitar player. Pedro's a guitar player. Pedro actually is producing music now. I do a lot of electronic music now. I got sick in 2021, and I was quite a talented guitar player, and I actually got nerve damage in my arm, and so I can't play guitar anymore. And my voice went away because of the vocal cord damage from being on a vent. So my music career has ended.
Oh dear. Oh well, I feel sorry for you there. That's That's a shame.
It was I used to be real humble about it. Like I was all right. No, I was effing good, man. I could play.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I've heard
Yeah.
of
I could play.
It's
I'm not humble
it's
at all.
fantastic.
I shred, baby.
I could effing play. Can't do any of that now, so no need to be humble about it.
No.
We're just gonna get going. I do like what they're saying here. Look, just letting readers make an informed decision.
Yes.
That's what you need to do. That's
the
what
whole
it
idea.
is. He's my sketchbook is saying there is no constitutional infringement. It's just a prerequisite you must meet to be placed in a government-funded place. Exactly. It's limited access, no different than a movie rating.
Yep.
You don't need to give graphic depictions of oral sex to children.
Yep.
Straight to jail.
Straight to jail.
Exactly. Don't
It's
worry.
that simple. It's that simple.
There's
If
an
the-
acceptable level of public decency that must be maintained.
And I want to point out that this is not the same as what's going on in Arkansas. Arkansas is saying that if you are a librarian or a clerk, and anything they deem harmful to minors is sold to them or presented to them, then the person working the counter could have a felony, that they are legally responsible for that. I don't agree with this.
That's too liquid and undefined.
Right.
Me
But
neither.
Frankly,
the
yeah.
fix to this is what Texas did.
Yeah.
is, look, you're making books, you're producing books, you're publishing books, you're distributing books. Before you give that to a library, you tell them if it has anything of sexual nature in there.
Yeah.
That way it could be labeled and put on a shelf by itself.
Should they give like a penis count?
No, but they should have a level of decency so that they don't tick off parents. It's a matter of respect.
I mean, if you're really
Over
into
top of
penises,
everything.
you could
It's
always
not
give it a
First
penis
Amendment
rating.
issue at
Yeah,
all.
penis rating, like 9
Yeah,
penises.
Yeah, I give this 9 out of 10 penises.
9 out of 10 penises.
I give this one only 4.5.
Yeah.
The half was
Count from
painful.
Sesame Street, just one dong. Oh,
Yeah,
2 dong.
half penis, 2 dog.
So, but good news is a federal judge has temporarily blocked the Arkansas law. So this law, I do want to see go away. But the
Legit.
Texas law, I feel is a good get.
Again, this law in Arkansas is way too liquid. It's too
really is.
easily abused and redefined.
And
You have to be
placing the
straightforward when you write these things.
And it's placing the
Especially
responsibility where it shouldn't be. Because
Right.
it's not on the librarian to know if the
Right.
if the book is on the publisher.
We've been saying this for months here, not even months, a year. We've been covering this going on, right? And so we've been saying for a year that it should be on the publishers. Oni Press knew what was in genderqueer. They knew what was there. They
no
should have
comment,
labeled
right?
it as such. And the only reason I can think that they would fight this is because they are making so much money on the grooming of children
Yeah.
that it's okay for them. Like, they don't want to change their business model because they know they will sell significantly less books by telling people that there's sexually explicit material in their children's books.
And
I
if
mean,
they want the kids to read the book, which, I can see the importance in doing that, take those parts out and have the decency to not self-censor, but to cater to that audience correctly
I mean, I don't want to get biblical
so that
here,
the
but-
parents don't get upset.
I don't want to get biblical here, but I call this Satan's dollar. That's
Yeah.
what they want to
Yeah.
make.
Welcome, Wise Guys. Welcome, Phantasmagorical.
Hey, Fanta.
And Rona's Reviews is in the house. We've also got John Eppel, who's joined us now. It's great to have you here.
And this is the big problem with genderqueer from Oni. They put it out. They're happy to put it out. They sound proud that they've done it, and now they're out there defending it. And the only way that they can really defend it is by getting off on technicalities.
Yep, exactly.
When they
Schism.
could go through and change the just a couple pages in the book, and it'd be perfectly acceptable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like the latest. This is a really good comment that just came in here. From
Well, let me read this
Final
one first.
Okay.
Schism says of Alan, I know you can't see it on the screen, but it says, imagine making heavenly sounds with generic tools. Now that is an artist. And for sure, man, it's the old saying, the tone is in the bones.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's a decent guitar. That's what it is.
Oh, nice.
What
are
but
you
yeah,
playing,
a Gibson. I've got a Gibson Les Pauls.
Oh, you're a Gibson man. Market man. Nice.
There's the comment.
I like it.
Final Fight Guy says, get a legit rock star on, and immediately the conversation goes to penises.
Yeah.
Next thing, TVs will be going out of the window. Let's hear some rock and roll stories. And we're gonna get to some rock and roll stories here soon.
We can't help it, Final Fat Guy.
We can't help it. We can't help it. Immediately talking about penises. Penises and boobs and all that kind of stuff. It's funny.
It's like that scene from Wayne's World where he beat him to death with his own shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He beat him to death with his own shoes.
He wanted green M&Ms.
So these two laws are not the same. But look, we've got the publishing power of Arrow Comics right here on this panel. The truth is, as people who produce books, we understand there's a responsibility.
Absolutely.
I am not, by any means, going to put Sin Killer in the hands of a kid.
Yeah.
I had a teenager come up to me at the convention with his dad over there in Gem City. And I was pitching all the books to him. And I said, that book back there I put out of reach. I put on the back of the table. I said, that book right there is not for kids. And I gave him the pitch of the book. And with his dad, he said, I want that one. And I looked at his dad and I go, it's up to you. And he goes, sure. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
I wash my hands. I absolve
Yep.
myself of this situation.
Well, you
It's
put
an
it back
informed
where it
decision, dude.
belongs in the hands of the parent
Yeah.
to make the decision.
It's
So,
an informed decision. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I wouldn't have given that to my
Mm-hmm.
10-year-old. I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have let my 10-year-old get it. But I'm not here to parent his kid.
Right.
Exactly.
And he felt his kid could handle that content.
Yeah.
I was very clear about what the content was. And what's funny is when you say that this is not for kids, kids kind of want it more.
Yeah,
I think, you know, they
that's
find
right.
a way
We
to
do,
get it,
yeah.
right? And it's like putting that explicit lyrics thing on the.
Yeah, that's a bump in sales, but still,
Yeah.
like you're making your duty. It's the duty of the father or the
Yeah.
parent to just decide, like, okay, do I want to expose my kid to that? So it's not like you're giving away the responsibility; you're giving the information, and that's your responsibility. Giving the information away. Okay, this is this kind of content. You decide whether your kid should be exposed to it. So
I don't know if you've heard this or not, but apparently, March 29th, 2024 was supposed to be the release of Beyond the Spider-Verse. But that has now been booted,
Luke.
and they have not given a date. The reason why is because the
Yeah,
voice
well-
acting can't get completed.
Yep.
okay,
Does that
you
have to do
froze
with
there
the
a little
writer's
bit,
strike?
Luke.
What's that?
Does that have anything to do with the writer's strike? People are
Yeah.
Yes.
okay.
It's the writer's strike. It's the actor's strike right now that's doing it. Sony Pictures has also pushed back several titles with the near-term changes tied to the unavailability of actors to promote the movie. So Kraven the Hunter, well, that one's going to do good anyway.
After this track,
Ghostbusters
can they-
Afterlife 2.
Yeah.
Might pull down Mobius numbers.
Yeah, after this track, can they be called Film Actors Guild, like they deserve?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, way to go.
The Karate Kid reboot was scheduled for June 7th next year, and now it's headed for December.
Wow, Madame Web, I can hardly wait.
Oh, Madam Web. And the release of Venom 3 have all been pushed back.
Nice.
Right, lads, I'm going to check it out for a minute now. So it's been a pleasure talking to you, as brief that it is, but keep promoting Trick of the Light, by the way. Much appreciated, and thanks
Oh,
for
we're going to
having
be
us
pulling
on
up your campaign here in a moment, bub.
Yeah.
your comic thing.
Yeah.
So really appreciate that. But yeah, it's time for me to check out and
okay.
keep doing the good work that you're doing, and really appreciate that. All right.
All right, guys, we'll be taking a look at the campaign here in a little bit and showing off what
Okay.
what they've got going over on Film My Comic. Try to get some traction on this for you. Well,
Yeah.
but I guess if you got to head out, you got to head out, man.
I gotta head out.
Yeah, I'm doing my best. I'll give you a bit of time there, but yeah, we've got a busy schedule here. So
All right.
I'll love yous and leave yous. Thank you very much for having us on, and really appreciate that. Okay, and if you've
All
got
right,
any
Alan.
voiceover work, then chuck it my way.
We certainly will, man. We certainly will.
Cheers.
All right.
See you
All
later.
right. See ya. Bye.
See you later, man.
All right, so get this. So Funko's cutting 180 to 200 employees. 12 to 13% of their workforce is going away. We saw this coming, guys. We knew it's happening.
Yeah.
The layoffs are the first visible change since Brian Mariotti left and was replaced by CEO by Michael Lunsford. So the first visible change. We can only speculate of what's going to happen from there, though.
You know, looking at Funko's stuff, like Funko does the Funko Pop stuff, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I'm kind of surprised, to be fair, that did as well as it did. Like,
Yeah.
it's collectibles, but several years later, they're still going. They went still going strong for a while, and then now they're, you know, it was eventually. It's about time, you know.
Yeah, it's the Beanie Babies all over again.
It is. Yep.
What it is, yeah.
Things aren't going so well for Diamond. Imagine that. I think we all know that. I think we've all been there. Hollywood is still pushing stupid and unnecessary reboots. Yep.
Well, that's a Captain Obvious headline, isn't it?
Yeah. Diamond addresses competitive issues, changes, and postpones the retailer summit. The Jeppy Family Enterprises Chief Sales and Service Officer Chris Powell addresses competitive issues, discussed changes at Diamond Comic Distribution. As Diamond Comic Distributors adapts to a declining publisher roster.
I mean, they should stop using Windows 3.1 to begin with, and then update everything within it. Maybe start thinking about being competitive. But
Maybe, yeah.
I think they updated their system a couple of years before the bug hit.
to Vista,
Uh, I don't know, probably Windows 10.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I'm not sure what system they're running on.
yeah.
Just at that point, it was modern. They spent a lot of money on it, and
Yeah. I mean, I read like during the
Moved there.
pandemic, they were still running on XP, which is
built their
wow.
fresh headquarters over in Memphis, just a couple miles away from their free labor
Mm,
at the federal prison camp. Yeah.
cool.
So
Or next to free labor, I should say.
Yeah.
I don't know what Powell is thinking.
Who?
The guy here at Diamond. And how he thinks he's going to be competitive. They haven't changed their business model in ages. And they've disrespected publishers for ages.
Well, let's be serious. Anybody that's been retailing, has any exposure to retailing, Diamond's just gone through and abused the system to the nth degree for 30 years now. And their big decision to not distribute books during the bug was the opening for all of these exclusive contracts to go out and find better ways of getting product to the retailers, whether the retailers want to see that happen or not. So these retailers that got on board right off the bat, and it's too bad you don't have to. You're not dealing with one distributor anymore. You now have to deal with 3 or 4 in order to get a wide variety of product. But believe it or not, some of those distributors actually care, and they're gonna get product into your hand a lot better than what this one. It's called competition, and
Maybe you can answer
they need
this,
to
Randy.
welcome that with open arms and deal with it, the retailers.
Maybe you can answer this, Randy. But I understand that ordering for Diamond was very difficult.
Well,
as a retailer.
Anybody coming in who wanted to start a mom and pop store, they had to jump through a whole series of hoops with Diamond. It took a minimum, I think, of $3,000 in order to butter Diamond up at all, in order for them to send you product to start with.
Oh,
And then
wow.
once they did, you were at the bottom of the totem pole. So you have Hot Spider-Man comic #1 come out, and you have a couple of your bigger dogs that Diamond caters to decided that they underordered the book for whatever reason. There's suddenly and Diamond only gets in a set amount. All of those higher accounts got serviced first, and you were at the bottom of the totem pole. So you had to wait for the second print or whatever, an additional print, in order to hit their warehouse. So the big dogs always got serviced first. It's the same way with the publishers. They had now they have multiple branches of how they multiple buses is what I call it, and how they treat their publishers. You have the exclusive set, the nearly exclusive set, the almost nearly exclusive set, and then you have the green section where all the alternatives and independent guys go to in their catalog. So that when the retailer starts ordering, they start at the front of the book with the exclusives, and they work their way down. And by the time they get to the green section, doesn't matter the quality of your product. If the retailer doesn't have it in their budget to get you, they're not going to get you.
Exactly.
You're buried.
And back when I was doing Arrow Comics, we were putting out the best quality products back in the 2000s, we were putting out the best quality books that we could. And I initially started out with titles that were immediately recognizable to the retailers. We did Oz, Wonderland, War of the Worlds. Everybody knows, all you got to do is say those titles and you know what those properties are about. And our order stunk because we were in that green section in Diamond, and we were literally treated like we were at the back of the bus.
Like leopards. Yeah.
Well, very
Well,
much.
I think 2 things are happening here. Number one, these, Marvel, Dark Horse, IDW moving to Penguin, and DC going over to Lunar, and Image going over to Lunar.
One or two other one or two companies.
They've got Image now as well.
Yeah.
And Mad Cave, I think they have as well.
And all these people have signed exclusives, which is silly because you think you'd want to get out
You
there
don't-
in
right.
as many different ways possible.
It's like they're doing new business in the old way, right?
Yes. Yep.
So one of the problems that I see is that people are realizing and should realize that the bottleneck of distribution doesn't have to exist.
Yes.
And this is across the board. This is for all products. I mean, this is not just comic book exclusive. This is knowledgeable across the board. The bottlenecks for distribution are only there so that people can exploit and make money off of those things. When you realize that there is a potential of getting to the fans yourself or getting to the potential market yourself, then you don't need these distribution models the way that you did before.
Yeah, but
Where this comes in handy is that people will have a preferred distributor. I don't think any of these should have gone exclusive.
No.
I understand the idea of going to exclusive is to kick Diamond in the nuts here.
Well, and technically they haven't. It's just Diamond can now access their product, but they have to go through Penguin and Lunar in order to get it.
True.
Which means that they charge the retailers on the retailer end more money in order to move that product to them, which is ridiculous. These retailers need to open and granted, it's been 30 years of Pavlovian training here on the part of Diamond. You do get previews. You order from previews. You only order from previews. We are your service. We are your distributor. Blah blah blah. Well, now that gate is gone.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
wide
what kind of loyalty have they earned during these 30 years?
And that's the whole key. They haven't earned any loyalty. In fact, they've gone through and ticked everybody off all the way along the system in order for them to be the top dog. They've been the funnel that's been castrating the direct market for years. And you get a smaller publisher out there that's got a hot product, he's got to fight 5 times harder if he's in that green section in order just to be seen. And you get the modern media out there that all they want to do is cater to the exclusive, the guys that Diamond labels as exclusive. And that's the only publicity you see out there is them running their press releases. And you have had all of this great product for decades come out and be downtrodden or have to disappear. And it just adds to the problems. This is why retailers don't trust independent comics, is because they say they don't get past issue 1 or 2. Well, a lot of the reason they don't get past issue 1 or 2 is because Diamond keeps them down and has always kept them down. They've kept them from being seen. They treat them like third-class citizens, and it's been a disgrace to the industry, quite frankly, for the last 3 decades. And it had gotten so bad that crowdfunding picked up, and these comics are becoming niche marketing tools now, going direct to consumer and cutting the retailer out entirely. They're not intentionally cutting that retailer out. They're intentionally cutting Diamond out. That's what they're doing, because they would love to be in comic shops. If they could be in comic shops, be seen and be sold. I don't think there's anybody out there now doing a crowdfund book outside of the fact that the money flows directly to them and they've cut out a couple of middlemen. That's the only advantage for crowdfunding book, but the visibility is still in those retail shops. The visibility is still, where everybody has gone or have been trained to go the last 30 years in order to get their comic book entertainment. That's your highest point of visibility. And instead now these retail shops are stuck selling games and Funko Pops and anything they can possibly do to try to keep their lights on, because all of those exclusives, that all of those companies that Diamond treats all that special, are all kicking out very substandard product.
And can you imagine the amount of IPs that, movies and interesting stories and things we'd have today if none of that happened and Diamond just disappeared like a fart in the wind many years ago?
Yeah.
Or if Diamond hadn't shoved their weight around, this all comes back to distribution wars that happened in the 80s and 90s when Marvel thought that they could be a distributor. And Diamond went in and took advantage of that and ran like Chicken Little around to all of the retailers and said, the sky is falling. And all of the other secondary publishers and said, the sky is falling. You need to get with us and be an exclusive with us. And they came in and gobbled up like Pac-Man all of the big publishers, so that all of the other secondary distributors didn't have access to them. That's the problem with running exclusives.
Why is it always Marvel?
They're going to learn that eventually.
Why is it always Marvel?
I thought there was laws.
It's not
against
just Marvel. It's Marvel and DC and Diamond. Yeah. It's Diamond training. There's the demographic that study that they did. I think First Comics way back when actually did a demographic study that just stagnated the entire industry, that pinned the demographic down to 25 to 55, mostly white, mostly male. And that's the thing Diamond has pushed to these publishers ever since. That's your market. That's where you want to push your product. That's how you're going to make money. And that's not how you expand the market. And in the meantime, minorities, women, and kids have all been neglected or treated again like these publishers in the green section, like secondary ancillary sales, when they should have been appealed to this entire time, just like manga has done for decades. You know, and made product specifically or intended for that audience. That's why manga right now is raging the way that it is. That's why Scholastic is able to sell that they do. They don't go primarily into retail shops. They go everywhere. And because they came in on the ground floor with their own system, their own distribution system already made up, going through schools and libraries, they're able to pick and choose products now that'll appeal to the younger kids and go out and get your Dav Pilkeys and your Raina Telgemeyers and those kind of folks to do graphic novels that sell hundreds of thousands of copies because they are so accessible.
And you can't push the same product over and over and over and over again and expect it to sell, right?
You stagnate the market. Yeah,
exactly. And you see that with the gaming market. We just saw it in the article earlier with the whole bunch of different smaller companies getting into stuff because people are just tired of the big names.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Spider-Man, but everybody's seen Spider-Man. You know?
The big names have gone out of their way to chase off that market. The market that makes them money or had make them money, they decided we're not going to make books for you anymore. And then they wonder why they're not selling, because they've got 30 years of this, like I keep saying, Pavlovian type training.
I mean, we're supposed to
for these retailers to find products to sell to their customers.
What's wrong with us is a question, because we're supposed to love and embrace diversity, right? That's why everybody's getting fired now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's read this section here. Can you read that for me, Randy?
Well, comics were always diverse. They just never wanted to realize it. Somebody came in and horned in and said, well, they need to be totally, completely diverse. And again, ships like that take time to turn, Powell first noted that a key difference between Diamond and Lunar distribution, which has common ownership with online and brick and mortar retailer discount comic book service. The quote, the direct market has always been our focus from day one, unquote, Powell said. And he talked about the history of Diamond. Quote, Steve Jeppy even had his own retail stores, and he closed them because he didn't want there to be even the appearance of a conflict between his retail stores and any others that were in the area. That has held true for the whole time that we've been in this business, unquote.
Oh, God bless him.
Well, he went where the money flowed, and he didn't want that conflict of interest because probably a couple people spoke up like they did with Lunar and Luna and said, well, why are you doing this business when you want to cater to everybody? But in the meantime, Jeppy got rich off of making hoops and forcing, literally funneling product through his little system out to the retail shops. And he's been the funnel, the castration of this industry ever since he was the only dog in town.
He brought the moil to the industry.
Yeah.
Got it.
And it's just now starting to loosen up a little bit, and there's so many outside, because like this industry is fascinating, because when there's a problem like that, we're full of creative people who find creative outs. So you've got Scholastic pushing into the libraries now, Marvel and DC start pushing in the libraries. You've got folks going out and crowdfunding, and now the secondary publishers are out crowdfunding all of their products as much as they can in order to try to generate capital. It's just creative people find creative ways around stupid problems, and that's what's happening now. And it's a great time to be doing.
I think blaming collectibles and things like that is silly.
Collectibles have always been collectibles are nothing if the IP isn't recognized.
Yeah. And it says Powell also focused on a pain point for retailers in a new world of multiple comic distributors, shipment paperwork, and difficulties during check-ins. Well, At least they're getting product.
Comments that seem directed at I don't know what PRHPS is.
Penguin Random House.
Oh, okay. Should have just said Penguin. Whose shipments retailers have reported as more difficult to process. Well, they'll get used to it. If they've got an invoice problem, a paperwork problem, it'll get corrected, or they will be neglected.
And the reason why it might be a little more difficult is because they're getting their product on time and in good condition.
Yeah.
And if they don't, Penguin takes care of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you're actually doing your job right, there might be a little bit more paperwork. Sorry, guys. It happens. It's part of adulting.
Yeah. I'm supposed to do not fun things? Wow.
Well, Diamond just sends you a box of randomly packaged stuff.
Tossed.
Tossed
no
in there.
Protection whatsoever. Yeah.
So his arguments are all the reasons why people left.
Yes. Yep.
Well, that's what makes us different. That's what makes you suck.
Yep.
That's why we're not using you. That's why people don't want to use you.
We've been controlling the market for years. We've been dictating what kind of books sell or don't sell. We've been suggesting variant covers to all of these publishers in order to up their dollar count.
Look, with the availability of all the technologies that we have now, and the lower cost of print on demand, you could literally cut out the middleman on this stuff.
We are.
And I know a lot of retailers that are more than happy to buy from multiple locations. The new wave, it's not this. If you're running a business and you are too lazy to save money by going to different outset sources to get your product, then you deserve to fail, in my opinion. I don't have any sympathy for you at all.
It's not a matter of convenience. It's a matter of cost and return. How much are you going to make per unit selling a book to a customer? And is that customer going to be able to come in and buy that piece? If you're buying books because Diamond has told you for 30 years that you need to buy books from these companies, all the books from this company, or you're not a real comic shop. You're not selling those books, you're wasting your money.
Yeah.
It's that
and
simple.
everybody's time.
You need to figure out how to do proper business. Get a product in at a price, sell it at a higher price so that you have profit to cover your expenses and make money. It's that simple.
And how many of these comic shops have closed because of these stupid practices by Diamond over the years?
Thousands. They've crippled this market down to a small percentage of what they were when they first started.
Exactly. And it's just sad because people, it's hard. It's a small business, a comic shop, maybe it's a big business, whatever. There are people involved that, in those places that are human beings, people obviously, and they have families and they put their heart and soul into comics and they just get screwed.
Yeah, dude. And this is someone's dream.
In a smaller way, it's a longer death, but it's the same thing that's happened to Bud Light. They kick out a product nobody wants to read or everybody is offended by. They stop buying it. Only here in the comic market, it's been a much slower death.
No one told me I'd have to be responsible. Sorry, Woodrow. It happens.
But the art form will survive.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's the market that's going to change, and it's it's kind of the point I wanted to make with kind of talk about that process. Because it's not just in comics; it's in music too.
All over.
We're seeing with Alan. They're moving from having worked with a label, and all of the stuff they put out's under a label, to now they're fully independent. And I understand, like for a guy like me, that's not a new concept. We always worked independently.
Right.
When I saw how much money the label was going to take from me, I didn't like it. And so I decided to release independently. And so the ability to publish and to license and to file for your, for all of your, what is the name of that site? There's two sites that you can use
You
to
got
register
CD
your work.
Baby and
No, not that.
which one? Oh, to
It's
register.
when you actually register your music. There's two sites.
Yeah,
I might still have a
ASCAP?
ASCAP. Thank you.
ASCAP, yeah.
I might actually still have a in BMI, and I might actually have still have a account with those companies.
Body mass index? Okay. Anyway.
But no, so it's so easy to do it. Like, there's not really anybody walking you through it and holding your hand, showing you. But if you're intuitive enough, you can figure out how to self-publish and copyright, trademark all of your material.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
And own it. I mean, recording equipment is so readily available. Art equipment is so readily available. The pre-press stuff is so easy to do these days. Mastering is so easy to do. Movies can be filmed on an iPhone.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Animation, I've got stronger animation tools on my laptop that I don't use than what Walt Disney had while he was at the height of his career.
You're kidding me? Yeah. Ugh.
It is not for lack of technology and availability. I think what it is, it's for lack of drive in some cases. But being independent, I mean, the thing is, we get this mindset that finding the audience is somehow this enigmatic, mythical creature. That how do we capture the unicorn?
Exactly. You make it sound like it's a unicorn. I was like,
You know what you do? You show up.
yeah, exactly.
You show up. You let people get to know who you are. Share your opinion. In this day, people are actually supporting the creators of the content as much as they are the content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pizzimetti was saying something very interesting a couple of days back. Because they were talking about piracy. And the thing with people like us, who are putting ourselves out there, letting people know us. If somebody pirates my book, for example, they know my face. You know what I mean? It's different from saying like, hey, I'm pirating this DC book and nobody knows who this guy is. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's gonna be people who are not gonna care and just gonna pirate it. But I sincerely go into business thinking most people are decent and they will pay for it. You know what I mean?
The truth is, most people are decent. I was having this conversation with someone last night, and I said, look, there's a lot of mental masturbation that goes on with the internet, right?
Yeah.
We fool ourselves into thinking that what happens on Twitter is somehow more important than a baby's fart. It's not. It is not real. There are people that want to build up the backroom finagling is not as real as people think it is.
Nope.
The number of, there are a lot of, I think that if there are anybody out there that is really trying to screw you over, that are really trying to be nefarious, I think those people are the ones that are saying that those people are everywhere. Because they think like that. Normal people don't think like that. They don't think, man, how can I screw this guy over today? They don't think, man, how can I lie to this person today? Normal people don't think like that. And what's happening is people get lost in the internet and they think that's real life.
Yeah.
And it's not. Things are never really as bad as what we think they are online.
It sure feels like it, though, sometimes.
It does. Now, maybe politically, maybe it's bad.
Yeah.
Maybe, right? But really, there's probably not that many people thinking about your demise all day long.
And when you get people too with in that particular vein that are trying to, it does happen. There are people that will shout, stoop or try to make you look bad on the internet. But you can just be like Eric July and just make it marketable material. The guy shows a video of his warehouse, and then people start pulling out their hair, freaking out.
Right.
You just make content out of it. It's fine. People will tell you suck, and then just prove them wrong.
But those people they live for that, right?
Yeah, that's all they got.
That's all they got
going on. Yeah.
And the majority of people that when you step away from social media, they don't care what's going on with the, with the politics and the things like that. Normal people care about, they do care about like what we talked about with those laws. They do care about those things. Mm-hmm. Normal people care about that. That's where the normal world and our publishing world intertwine. But because most of our publishing and our marketing is done online, we get caught in this little world and we forget that there are...
That it's all kayfabe.
Yeah, that there are people that really do not care mm-hmm. about how you voted or what your politics are. They really care about the story. They care about your product. And they do care about whether or not you're likable or not. That's another thing I'm trying to tell people. When you're marketing these things and selling these things, people do not like major corporations. Mm-hmm. Across the board, people have fallen out of love with the corporations. They don't want to give money to them. Mm-hmm. Right? So you have a better chance of making money like that Kickstarter to the tune of $750,000 by circumventing those things. And just like my sketchbook set up here, you can circumvent those things. Yeah. There's no point in being beholden to them anymore.
With the Good Omens book, it was very intelligent of Colleen to go and crowdfund that, because there's not a single, especially secondary publisher out there that wouldn't have given everything to have printed that book for her.
Yeah.
But she decided to do it on her own and keep the money for herself.
She got the property and did it on her own, and I think that is the smart thing. If you can access the property, do it on your own. Again, it is so easy to self-publish anything.
Yeah.
So is it safe to say that she did it live?
She did it live.
Let's do it live.
We'll do it live?
Yeah.
Don't write it and we'll do it live?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I don't know if you guys heard about this Andrew Tate book. So Andrew Tate, let's go ahead and get to...
I don't even know who he was until I saw a couple videos on it.
Yeah, let's do...
just shake my head.
He's a funny dude. Like, I don't know.
Is he a TikTok influencer?
Well, some people like him, some people hate him. He caters to a specific crowd of
kids,
basically teenagers and masculinity and whatever. But like,
fitness.
as far as that stuff aside, because he does have some good messages, he also has some horrible messages. He's all over the place. Whatever. His comic book. Let's just concentrate on that because it is hilarious.
Yeah.
Right. I don't really care too much about Andrew Tate. I don't give him two thoughts normally. He tweeted this on July 2nd.
Mm-hmm. Of this year.
Yeah. Reading books is for middle-brained losers. It's brain masturbation, bullshit, cowardice. I'm learning so much without risk. You've learned nothing. Winners act, losers read.
Uh-huh. Wow. Okay.
And then he launches
a comic book.
So uncommon.
A comic book.
Yeah.
Now,
he
I was
launches
analyzing that statement. I mean, it kind of seems like he's talking about like self-help books, but he's not specific. So read a book, dude.
At this point, I'd like to announce my new fundmycomic.com campaign we're calling Bottom F.
Yeah.
Bottom F.
No, dude, I'm making a new book called Blank Pages.
So this...
Oh my God.
This book...
I know how to color.
Dude.
There were no real superheroes left until now.
Uh-huh.
Oh, no.
Top G in his battle against the Matrix.
All right, Neil.
That's not even an original thought, man.
Yeah. That's cool, Neil.
Oh, man. Look at this art.
Kung Fu?
It's just, one born every minute thinking here.
Look at that.
P.T. Barnum at his best.
Solid. That's solid.
Hey, kids, buy a comic for $100.
$97, guys.
I wrote it.
For the collectible book.
Yeah.
Look at the background on that.
This is only the
bottom
beginning.
level.
Experience history.
Oh, dude, no.
Make
Actually,
me a
the bottom
millionaire.
level is the best one because it doesn't have a background really.
This
There's
is
a
so
background
bad.
on the top one. It's so bad.
Look at that anatomy. What is
Oh
going
my
on
God.
here?
Yeah, dude. It's like, wow.
Oh, you can pick on this book all day.
Yes, you can.
God.
Should we watch his trailer?
Okay.
Take the strike.
Coupled with sheer indefatigability, makes
We're taking the strike for you, Chad.
realm of human endeavor.
Side bad heavy deer. This man to your face anyway. Car hog accelerate, go for them.
Pow, pow.
Chop serious with the hell.
The Matrix has attacked you.
Bad heavy deer, me and them. Be a submachine gun trample them head. AK shot.
Dude, I drew like this in high school, man.
The wait is over.
Is it?
Wait is over.
I wasn't waiting to begin with.
Ah.
I was not waiting to begin with, guys. I didn't even know he was making a comic book until it dropped. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, well, that's cute. That's a nice try. But it turns out that it's not a try. It's intentional, and he's charging $97 for it.
Yep.
Let's talk about that, okay? It does not look like he spent much time on this book.
Nope.
No.
Doesn't look like anybody spent much time on this book.
Yeah, nobody.
Somebody speculated it was a family member or something that did the art.
It sounds like that. Yeah, I said that,
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm
Maybe.
not sure. I'm not sure if it's true, but it looks like that.
But it's bad.
So I don't feel,
And also comic and paint with a mouse.
yeah, given his comments on the 2nd of July, and given that he's put out this book at $97 with what I can only say looks like minimum effort, I would venture to say that he has no respect for his audience.
I mean,
Keep in mind that his audience is inner city kids.
obviously he has no respect for the art form. Sorry, vendor.
No respect for the art form. But look, if your audience is inner city kids, why are you pricing a comic book at $97 freaking dollars?
Yeah, that's rough.
It's inaccessible.
Yes.
Has he? Well, I mean, like it's obvious based on the fact that he's an influencer. He's going to sell enough of these to pay for the book at least. But it just looks bad and leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
It's P.T. Barnum said there's a sucker born every minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what this is.
Oh,
You might as well be a carnival barker trying to sell a glimpse at the bearded lady.
He's going after suckers.
Yep.
I think he is. I think he really is.
well, that's his market, I guess. It's just it's. I mean, like, it seems so sleazy. I don't know.
And it's a shame because if he's an influencer with the inner city
Yeah.
kids, he could have
But-
done it in an accessible
Yeah, but
format
Randy-
and upped his cred.
But Randy, it's not only inner city kids. He's talking to basically teenagers that have no father figure. Like he's trying to do that. So he's like a more urban Jordan Peterson. That's what he's trying to be.
Wow.
And just doing this 97, like the guys you're calling gullible, like idiots or whatever, these are teenagers. It's looking for guidance, man. This is not good.
No.
No, dude.
So the reason why traditional publishing, traditional labels, traditional all of the traditional ways of producing content and getting it to fans, the reason why it even still has a leg to stand on is because of bullshit like this.
Yep.
Because they're like, well, look, there's no checks or balances for quality and that price tag. I mean, everything about this screams grift, right?
Well, like we've said, the crowdfund market right now is the Wild West when it comes to comics.
It really is, yeah.
going to try different things and do different things and attempt different things. And this is, in my opinion, a bad attempt. So,
I mean, but
somebody who
consumers,
doesn't understand the market.
Yeah, as consumers, we have to make informed decisions too.
Yeah.
This is a half-assed version of what Eric July wanted.
Does
what
it
Eric
say
July's doing.
what the page count of the book is?
No.
I don't know. I didn't see that anywhere on there.
So you're at his mercy. Yeah, it could be
It's
500 pages.
It's a larger print. Like it's a larger size. I think it's magazine size.
Looks like it's square from the art that they're showing. Could be the size of what are those?
We're going like a
No, like
art book.
no, like big numbers was in that format, but nobody remembers big numbers. The book that is. What's that? The Peterson book? Not Peterson. David Peterson. The Mouse Guard book. Yeah, Mouse Guard.
Mouse Guard.
That's what it looks like. I wonder if it's saddle stitched or it's perfect bound or what. Doesn't say that in here.
No information whatsoever.
None. Just send us money.
I mean, look. I mean, just look how arrogant this is. The attack against me is relentless. They don't want you to know the truth. They want you living in a mental cage, chained by weak mindset. I became the superhero of the youth by telling the truth and teaching young men to be strong, and now I am being punished for it in real time. This is support it because they don't like me.
Stories reflect the harsh truths of the Matrix. How I escaped it. Oh, I escaped it by not reading books. And what I predict they will try next. Prepare yourself for Top G.
Dude, it's
breaking illusions.
You know what, dude? I wish him luck. I do wish him luck. I wish he had a better artist, but I mean, it's not for me.
This makes me. I'm going to be really honest with you.
All-time collectible.
It makes me sick to my
most
stomach.
Vital and powerful life stories.
This is such a disrespect for the art form.
It's going to learn if you want people to read it, you're going to make a price point that makes it accessible.
Well, he's also not showing his sales, which is probably smart.
This is masturbation, man.
Well, he's paid for the book. Like there's no way he's not made enough money based on how big he is to pay for the book. But like it kind of just seems like to me that he was just like he's looking at Eric July, or his staff was looking at Eric July, and they're like, comic books are trending. Okay, make a comic book, put my name on it. And then
literally a satire of the industry is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think he was even involved in the process. He was just like, no, just put my face on it. And then he went out and had a cigar by the pool and then made some YouTube content or something.
Probably hasn't even read it.
Probably hasn't even read.
He doesn't read books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I give it a solid F.
Next month, Beyonce Comics.
Beyonce Comics, yeah. Let's see what happens there. Yeah, Lizzo Comics. It's
that's gonna be huge.
Yeah, it's an oversized print volume.
It's gonna be huge. Yeah. Huge.
All right. Oh, I did want to let people know one thing. So we have learned a lesson this last week. So when we are running a campaign that is in all or nothing, which is a post-processing method, you can move that to continuous store after it closes. But we need to wait the full 5 days. Because we found, unbeknownst to us this week, that when you move the campaign mode while it's in the process of post-processing, that is a totally automated. So we have defaults in our system that we've set in place based on accounting and our lawyers, right? That we need to allow 5 days from the time we initiate the hold to the time we take the money to allow people an opportunity to rectify their card so that they don't drop the pledge, right?
Okay.
So this week we did Kelsey's campaign, or last week. Kelsey's campaign ended and post-processing had started. It already triggered all the holds. And so we moved the campaign that day into continuous. believing that the automated process of the 5 days would just continue, right?
Yeah, gotcha.
It did not.
Oh, okay.
It paused the process. And we didn't find out until day 5 comes, and these holds are still there. I'm like, well, what happened? So we had to go back in and look, and we found out that we just had to reinitiate. So we actually reinitiated Kelsey's campaign post-processing yesterday. So now we have to wait the 5 days again, but that gives everybody a chance to do it. But I've had a lot of questions about, hey, did my campaign, like what happened? And so some of them are processing about, I'd say maybe a tenth of them have already processed from the bank. The bank went ahead and did them on the initial processing, but the rest will be done in 5 days. So we learned a valuable lesson this week.
Yeah.
That if you are in a post-processing, not a direct contribution kind of campaign, so if it is an all or nothing, we have to wait the full 5 days to move you to continuous mode, or else our automation will just stop. It just sits there. It waits. It waits for us to tell it what to do. And so so that was a little frustrating. It was illuminating, a little frustrating.
Yeah.
And again, that was I take full responsibility for that one. Unfortunately, it wasn't anything that that we foresaw. We just assumed that it would go ahead, and since that process had already started, we didn't realize that moving it would pretty much just put pause on that process altogether. And so it just stayed there. And so when we reinitiated it yesterday morning, a lot of people's holds, the bank let them know, hey, the hold was let loose, but then a new hold was put on. So yeah, because it couldn't use the initial one anymore. So all completely automated with that part. One of the few things that is completely automated with our system, a lot of it requires some hands-on attention, which we like. Eventually we'll probably move into more automated stuff, but that's down the road. So I did want to bring up this campaign. It's unfortunate that Alan couldn't stick around with us. I think he would have had a lot to offer when we're talking about the publishing side of things and the moving from, because that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about now, is this idea of working for the long game. Marketing, I'm finding, is tricky for people. They expect a post to work. In fact, what I'm finding is a lot of people will put up a campaign on Fund My Comic, and they'll expect that, oh, well, why aren't people backing it? Or they'll put one up on the pink site or the green site. Well, why aren't people backing it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, sweetheart, it's not about that.
My sweet summer child.
Yeah,
it's not about that.
It is not about that. It's like some people may organically find it. I want to go to this view. So I think that I think some people might organically find it. Yeah, that's possible. And there's always been this thing where people's like, well, I let my work speak for itself. What do you guys think of that statement? Do you think that statement's got any validity these days? My work speaks for itself. I
don't know. Sometimes magically comes out through the muck and the mud, and it's a glorious thing. Most of the time, though, everything is just oversaturated, and nobody cares about anything. We've seen it all. It's the age of the future, right? Yeah. So you got to be proactive in your marketing ability.
Well, I think we're inundated with information all day long.
Exactly.
If you think about the number of things that you see, so the statistic is that you've got 17 seconds to grab someone's attention on your marketing. 17 seconds to get their attention.
Mm-hmm. And depending on who you are, that's a lot of time or no time at all.
Exactly, right? I often will decide before 5 or 6 seconds whether or not I'm going to spend my time on that particular post, or if I'm going to engage at all. John says your work can't speak for itself if nobody sees it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's really the thing. So if you guys remember the movie A Knight's Tale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Remember how Geoffrey Chaucer, the character, this fictitious version of a real life character, was the herald for William Thatcher or Sir Ulrich von Liechtenstein.
Liechtenstein, yeah.
This herald, right? He went out and he gilded the lily.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Direct from the movie.
Yeah,
Eddie
direct
Buffer.
from the movie.
Eddie Buffer.
Gilded the lily.
Yeah.
And which means, you know, it's already, that expression means it's already beautiful, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. I'm going to try my best to bring even more attention to it. He went out there, and part of what made, I mean, honestly, that character would have done well just by winning.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't get famous because of winning. He got famous because of the heralding and the winning. It's kind of a 1-2 punch, right? Marketing works that way with selling our comics. So we know that typical distribution channels are failing. We just read in the news, Diamond is suffering. Crowdfunding is now starting to get recognized on an industry level on ICV2. I mean, think about it. We have to do some heralding.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to sell your product better than you are. No one's going to talk about it better than you are, right?
And nobody knows it better than you do. So
Right.
that's the other thing.
I think that's for me, and correct me if I'm wrong, and hopefully you correct me, but my thinking is that is probably the most important part of making a transition from traditional publishing, where you are working for someone else, to self-publishing, where you're working for yourself, whether that be in comics, animation, movies, music, you name it. That the biggest part of that transition is relying on, no longer relying on someone else to kind of anonymously push your product out there, but for you to personally push it out there.
Mm-hmm. But you said it's a 1-2 punch. You have to be able to slay too.
You do have to be able to slay. Like, your work has to be good. You have to hit hard with this stuff. You have to look like it has to make sense that you say it's good and it is good.
Yeah.
Like, Top G, yeah, he's selling it. The website looks good, but the book doesn't. Right? He's heralding a losing horse.
Yeah.
A bum fighter. It really does require both. What are your guys' thoughts on the personal aspect of the creator selling the art? Like, how important is it for you as an individual to be?
It's a double-edged sword, because the things that you have to sell your personality, and if you are an unpleasant person, and it shows, it will affect your sales. Right? There's a couple of examples I can cite, but I'd rather not. But yeah, it's a thing that you're putting. Hey, mom.
Hey, mom.
Hi, Mom.
How's mom feeling after the accident?
Oh, she's feeling better.
Good.
Way better. Yeah.
We've been praying for mom.
¿Cómo se siente después del accidente, mami?
Bien.
Bien.
Yeah.
Yeah, she went to see Barbie.
Oh, did she like it?
No.
No.
Oh,
No.
All right. Bye, Mom. She's a lovely lady.
Yeah, I love her.
Your mom's great.
Yeah. Right.
It really is a double-edged sword, isn't it? I mean, you've got to. It's about the person. I think that if you come across as likable, people are going to want to support you more.
Mm-hmm.
We've had we've had people on here before that come on and talk about their stuff, and they just weren't likable.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't engage. They weren't endearing. They, and it
becomes a hard sale, because It's
Yeah.
you they're watching. And it's like, oh.
Well, the truth is, we all have opinions, right?
Yeah.
I mean, every last one of us can have an opinion on any one thing. So, as we're having a conversation here, I think that's part of what makes this show compelling for people and why they tune in and why we have so many rewatches is that they come in and we talk about the news. So we present, the factual elements of the news, but then we give our opinion, and we all have different opinions. Sometimes they are in lockstep with each other, and sometimes they are not. But we do give an opinion. It's like welcome John Celestri. We had John Celestri here a couple of weeks ago, and talk about a fantastic interview, right? John comes on and he engages with the topics, even when we're, he's more animation, and then getting into the self-publishing thing, but kind of engaging from his perspective, and the chat really got on board with him. It was great. It was great to see him there.
I mean, John has those mustachios working for him too. So
yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. And he's right. You have to be liked by the readers.
Yeah.
In order for the reader to give you a chance. The only way to do that is to get out in front of them. And there are so many people that fail to get in front of people. And I'm not talking about creating a YouTube show. Maybe that's your thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not. Some people do not need to be on camera. But man, if they're a writer, then they should write. Maybe a podcast, something audible they should do. If you're a musician, the other night, I was just messing around with making a new beat in a backroom chat like this. Literally, if that's what I want to do, if I wanted to be known as a musician and a composer, I would just do live streams where I get on and make content that people want to see. Like, hey, I'm going to make this in GarageBand and have it up on screen and make the beat with suggestions from the chat, like pull people in on that. The problem with marketing is we give people like this idea. We have a traditional idea of what we need to do to sell our product. We're not giving people what they want to watch or what they want to see or what they want to read. Our big complaint with the mainstream is they are not giving the reader what they want, and that's why those numbers are failing.
Yep.
Right? Same thing I think goes with marketing, like selling your product. We're actually writing something that's worthwhile. And I believe that hybrids, Herobot Zero, The Fool, all the stuff that we're working on, Tropical Magic, I believe these books are worthwhile.
Yeah,
I believe they contain value to the reader, that they're entertaining. And just putting it up there and showing the cover is not going to sell it, right?
Yeah.
People that come on and they listen to Randy and they're like, I like Randy's opinion. I like the way he has about himself, and I like his whimsy. And
he
people,
presents his ideas.
yes, 50% of his ideas are good.
Yeah,
and so
only 50%.
Yeah. So same way with Pedro or even Whiskey. So Whiskey, you're doing this. You're brand new to this, kind of building this thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
People are going to get to know you before they get to know your product. You only get one chance to make a first impression, but you're constantly making first impressions.
Yeah.
Like it's constantly making first impressions. So it's
Well, that's why I try to be positive when I'm doing it. Like, these things, I try to stay on the positive edge. I try to promote other people's stuff because I don't have a lot of my content currently finished yet. It's in the works. So what I do or like to concentrate on is, just helping other people so that when the time comes and I start getting my stuff out there, hopefully people will be helping me as well. But a lot of that stuff is just being proactive about getting in there too, because like I'm the first guy to be like, hey, even though I don't have anything to show, I'll show up on your show and I'll be like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah. Dude, like I had to make an adjustment to my personality when I started doing this. Because my only like public speaking was stand-up comedy, and my comedy is based on misanthropy. I hate everybody. and that's how I write my comedy. But I can't do that if I want to sell a book. And I don't really hate everybody. It's just that when I write comedy, that's what I'm doing. Like what's pissing me off today. When you're selling books, I mean, this is still me. Like I'm not lying or anything, but I don't want to say that like this is like phony baloney. But you have to kind of like develop your online persona a little bit, because that's the thing that when you present yourself, you have to be likable. It's part of the package. Because when you present your book, you want people to enjoy your tone of voice, and you want people to be at least acquainted a little bit and how you think, to say like, okay, I can see where he's coming from. Doing it with somebody you know nothing about, it's a little bit difficult because you don't know where he's standing. So that's the thing. As creators, we have to develop that without lying.
And it does take time. If you're new to the industry like myself, you put the work in, and you gotta keep working through it. You adjust your behavior as you go. You're not going to change who you are, but you can at least change how you present yourself over time.
Yeah, exactly.
And people will see a marked improvement. We saw that recently with Telepathic Bunny and his stuff. He's putting effort in to get a better foot forward, and people will notice that if you put it
which is him still. You know what I mean? The foot he's presenting is still T Bunny. I mean, there's
still T Bunny.
Yeah, the perfect example.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So I see Randy, and I think whimsy is what we're being said here. Welcome, 24 Eyes. We're here.
Thank you.
Definitely. Woodrow says, this is one of my problems, Pedro. I'm too cynical.
Yeah.
I've been working on it, though.
Yeah, but you have to cancel that out, man. Because the things like being cynical, it's a lot of fun.
Zimsy. Thanks.
Just Call Me Insane just showed up. Welcome.
Hey,
Student of God, to answer your question, those graphic novels are here today. I just got notice on my phone. That's what I'm looking at. I just got notice that UPS is going to be at my door here very soon with some boxes of books. So if you ordered the RPG is not shipping yet, but I'm going to go ahead and ship out all of the graphic novels while I'm waiting on that print run. There's been a delay with printing, so it's taking a little bit longer than expected. So I'm going to go ahead and get those out to everyone this week, next week. So John Douglas says, an organic word of mouth takes longer but stays stronger so long as we stay on target and don't get bogged down in needless drama. That's very important. Yes, I think that the truth is that it's a long process in building a relationship with the fans. And that's what it comes down to. I think it's you building a relationship with the fans. We've been doing this show, this is number 76.
Wow.
76 mornings. We have gotten up and we have talked news, and it's evolved over time to be what it is now, where we cover news articles, things that are happening in the world of publishing. And then we talk about useful topics. People have come to know that they can come here and listen to some funny opinions, occasionally a dong joke or two. And you can pretty well count on someone trying to educate. That was one of the things when I first met Randy. It was all about educate yourself. Learn, educate yourself. Randy, why is it that has been such a strong focus since I've known you, which has been a couple years now?
Why a personal focus? Because
Yeah.
I love this art form. I love this industry, and a lot of folks don't have even a hint of the greatness that this art form has and has had over the years. And we used to sell millions of copies of comics. There are books out there now nobody thinks about anymore that used to sell millions. IPs out there that used to sell millions of copies of comics, and that nobody has a. I quickly learned, especially with podcasting, that you're hitting such a wide range, and a lot of that range is so. My context, growing up in comics, breathing comics, loving comics, absorbing everything that I could about comics, is there's so many folks out there that are just walking in and they don't realize how phenomenal this industry is and how great it could be, and how accessible it absolutely needs to be. And that's why I think everybody needs to get that education in. They need to know. I've been working on a book that I haven't worked on it lately, but I need to get back up on it and finish it. That talks about that very thing and tries to educate folks about how phenomenal comics are. It's just to me it's the ideal form of communication, and it's how you use it or abuse it that stagnates or keeps this industry alive.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way I feel. And then we all need to have a good education in what we're doing. You need to do your research anyway. It's just like you go back to the what's his name, Andrew Tate, the product that he's doing, and you see the lack of education, the lack of respect, the lack of being informed as to how great this industry is. And he's in a position like Eric July where he could have a tremendous impact upon this industry. But to me, it seems like all he wants to do is get gullible people to pay $100 for a funny book, in his opinion. And that's the way he's looking at it. He's looking down his nose at all of us. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, go on, get some respect.
I mean, he's free to do whatever the hell he wants.
I have someone
absolutely. It's a free market.
Yeah, the problem is support him.
I have someone throwing me comments in text messages instead of on the screen.
Right.
So a comment was made, and I really like it. They think that that in regards to when it comes to the creator, they think the creator has zero importance when it comes to the promotion of the book.
Oh, not anymore.
You can have someone create it and someone completely else promoting it, and if you've got a motivated audience, then you're gonna make money on it. Whether it's good or not. They don't really care who the talent was working on it. They care about the personality selling it, and we've seen that. I think.
Yeah.
There is something to be said about that. There are influencers that go out and they'll promote something and nobody would have cared about it otherwise, and it just sells through the roof. But there's also the reverse of that, where you're making marketable content and and you're out there making your own stuff. Your own personality is selling the book or selling the product. What I like about Randy, what Randy does, either intentionally or inadvertently, he actually has one of the part of the what they call the funnel of marketing. I recently just learned about it myself, and he's teaching people things. And part of the marketing, which if you're out there making your own books, is that you got to sort of make little teachable moments for your audience so they can learn something, and that obviously engages a part of the brain that makes them more interested to grab something else that you might want to say down the road.
Yeah, but
so Randy does that either naturally, and Luke has been studying this stuff for a while. I've been studying it recently, and it's important to do. You got to learn marketing if you're going to push your comic books, and get out there and learn it.
The big thing for me is that we're in a business. We're not in a schoolyard.
No, we're not.
We're not a bunch of immature brats out there. Right. Even though you get that attitude over on Twitter all the time, you get a bunch of immature brats yelling at each other, trying to front in the schoolyard. And that's not what this business is. It's not what this business is about. We need to be out there. We need to entertain people. Well, most of us have that drive to entertain people. And that's what we need to do. We need to go out there, and that you don't do that by being in the schoolyard. You go out there and by being business. You educate yourself. You learn about marketing. You learn how to tell a good story. Yeah.
24 Eyes actually has some good points here. Mm-hmm. So marketing is something that creators don't budget into creating their books. Mm-hmm. If everyone did and all the creators were all running ads that brought you to FMC, the site could really grow its base. It could,
the site's growing exponentially now.
It is. It really is, and we'll get into that here a little bit.
Yeah.
But I want to make a point to the comment they sent you over like chat, and it's the perfect example to that. Like not having the artist be the town crier for the project would be Shadiversity's project. Because I mean, he commissioned somebody to do the book on the book he wrote, Shadow of the Conqueror. He made like around $600,000, and it's all his audience.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But why was Chad successful? Because it was his story. He wrote it, and he is more in tune with the whole, like geek culture or whatever you want to call it. Now you put that against the guy with the burger comic that commissioned the same artist, but he never even promoted that project, and it's completely forgotten now. And
I think it comes down to equity too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like how much is your creative team going to invest in that? Like this here. So 24 Eyes says, or have a fund to have booths at conventions. We are going to be doing booths at conventions, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But what this makes me think of is street team level stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, I really wish Alan would have stuck around, because I had a lot of questions for him that would have like really showed off his personality, and you guys would have loved him. So
I think we bored him with the comic book talk.
I think so. I think, well, he popped in a little early. Yeah. He wasn't supposed to be in until 10. So he kind of got to the end, like, there were a couple of topics that we were still going to be hitting before he was supposed to be there, right?
Was he aware of the format of the show, or is that?
I don't know if the person.
I didn't need to have him back on specifically to talk about.
Yeah, to talk about it. Yeah, because he went like nerds and left.
Yeah,
love him
pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I mean, it's called Nerd Bacon, so it is what it is.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's our audience. I mean, our audience is, we do what we do for our audience, and they're into this nerdy shit. So that's what we do. We do this stuff, and
I'm not bashing him at all, dude. Like,
no, not at all.
Funny. It's funny.
But I really wanted to get his input on the transition from longtime label to doing this independent thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because it reminds me a lot of one of the things that we're doing and that I'm focusing on are the least sexy ways to market these days. Email marketing is paramount right now. I noticed 24 Eyes talks about local TV ads. Dollars to donuts, it is free for internet marketing. Reels, we've talked about it, Pedro. You and I are working on Bacon Bits. We're going to put those up on Reels to draw more people to the channel and to what we're doing. And as we draw people to the channel and to the show, we draw people to our products. Because this is our content. And our books, what we create is not our content. That is our product. And we have to differentiate the two. But back in the day, starting out in music, we used to have these things called street teams, where I would go out and pass out flyers for my show, right? But then we would have dedicated fans that would also do the same thing. And they would get special treatment. They would get early access to tracks. They would get rough cuts. They would get T-shirts that nobody else got. We took care of them, right? Because they were our marketing force. They were our label, basically. The fans were. And it's kind of, we're seeing that social media gives us an opportunity to be a more street level marketer. But we actually need to get off of the line. And there's these things called QR codes. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They're revolutionary.
That's how you get menus now.
Right. Revolutionary. You can put those anywhere. Put them on stickers, flyers, and it takes people to the digital storefront that you want people to be on. It is really cool that we have this technology nobody's using, because it doesn't seem like it's much. It seems like it doesn't seem important, but it really, really is.
Yeah, because I mean, you could be at a convention. Maybe somebody's out of money at the moment. He gets your QR code, and he can get your book later.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. That,
Devil Flyers here. Welcome, Devil Flyers. Good to
hey,
have you
what's up,
here
Bill
today.
Flower?
Street teams. Yeah, I told
Mm-hmm.
Mike Brand the same thing. That's great. Jeff Potts says Shad also had a large audience
Yeah.
that purchased the book. So the audience for the graphic novel was already there.
Yeah, exactly. It's more akin to like that's exactly what I'm saying. Like he's more in the pot with everybody when it comes
Yeah.
down to geek culture.
Well, he catered specifically to his audience. He already had the audience, but he built that over a very long period of time.
Yeah.
Through consistency, marketing, and just being there, giving information. We talked about earlier about the funnel of marketing. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm completely new to it, but little teachable lessons and consistency can go a long way. Right.
And all of that takes time. It's a long game.
Yeah.
I think everybody wants that get rich quick thing. Like they're like, oh, how can I make a quick buck, or how can I, you make a product and you're like, oh, I deal with this, and Randy, you've probably seen it way more than I ever have, is these people that they have these big, massive universes in their head, and they're like, I'm going to make a 12-book series. Right? It's like, dude, try putting out a short story first.
Yeah.
Try doing a one-off. Try doing a 3-book series.
That's what I love about
everybody has a grand epic in their head.
Yeah. Right.
I love Randy's evil. Like,
Everybody's got the epic. I love that Peter Samedi, when people come to him, he's like, no, it's got to be a 3-book series. He didn't even do 4 books. Because 3 is reasonable amount. Like, if you sell the first one well, the second one you should be able to get return backers. If you don't do a good job on the content of book 2, then you may not sell book 3.
3 is the magic number.
3 is the magic number, right? But it's long term. So when you're starting out like your writing career, the idea is like, have those epics, but understand those epics aren't going to happen overnight. I'm sitting on 9 issues of a book, and it's taken me almost 8 years.
And again, the key is to do your research, and you'll see short stories is where everybody should start out with, and then expand out from there. I love short stories. I still do short stories.
That's actually how Ed Greenwood. We don't often talk about like authorship and stuff like that unrelated to comic books, but a Canadian, I guess, an icon in the fantasy realm. He started out doing short stories in magazines and just pushing those out.
Yeah, the creator of Forgotten Realms, like they're about expensive.
Exactly, and it's good advice. I personally would like to get into that myself. I wanted to do short micro internet comics, they're not like webtoons, but just direct to digital. And I'm working towards that as I improve my art. But
cool.
It's something I have a little bit down the road. I think going to be addressing right now. I'm working on my own book, and one of these the character on my screen right now is actually one of the antagonists in my book. He's a necromancer. More on that later.
Nice.
Listen to what John's saying here. He goes, I just started my newsletter focusing on drawing and writing tips, personal, professional background stories, and then my new comic. Let me illustrate what he's just saying right here. Okay. So Gary V, like him, love him, hate him, whatever, right? The dude is making money telling people how to market because he was successful enough at building a few businesses through marketing, right?
Yeah.
Gary talks about, there's one thing he talks about that is free, and most people should be using this and doing this. It's called the jab, 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 hook method, right?
Yeah.
What did he just say here? So if you take that method, it is content, sale, right? Or call to response. Content, call to response. Follow that method, because if all you ever do is call to response, back my book, you become this
beggar.
You become annoying, right?
All right.
Because no one wants a constant commercial. So what he's saying here, I'm working on my newsletter focusing on drawing and writing tips. Drawing tips, writing tips, professional stories, background stories.
Yeah, that's giving to the community.
Jab, and then my new comic. Look.
Yeah.
Look at that. I don't even know if he knows that he's doing that. But there's some free marketing advice for everyone out there. Use that method. Most QR codes I've tried to use cost money. Only reason I haven't made stickers and business cards I can hand out with QR codes on them. I will tell you what, I can make QR codes. I actually have the software to make QR codes. I'll do it for $5.
Nice.
$5. I'll make as many QR codes as you want. And the only reason I say $5 is because it has no value to you. You won't value it.
We need one of those for the Arrow store.
Okay. I'll make one right. I'm not right now. I'm on the air.
I'll do it right now.
Not an air.
Let me do it right now. Actually, I
Let me
could
get
do
my
it right
pen
now.
out.
Do it live.
Wrong.
No, skip that one.
They have limited free use, and then they break. Yeah, these will never break. These will always go to the direct place that they're intended to. Every artist I have draw a bookmark for me. I put out new bookmarks for each new book I release. I also include a QR code for the artist and the book. Smart move.
I like that, but I'm thinking trading cards.
Trading cards.
He was
You
talking
can,
about
you can
QR
collect
too.
those. You can put them into 9-panel sleeves and put them in a book. Everything looks good. Yeah.
Okay, 24 Eyes has a very cool idea with FMC girls with QR tattoos.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have a
girls.
roster of very gorgeous women.
Yeah. Welcome, Memes of Destruction. It's great to have you here today. Yeah,
Right.
posting on all comics groups on all social media is a good place. Yes.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you want to know where your fans are, you just have to go look where people are. Like, where do you hang out? If you're interested in superheroes or conspiracy theories, where do you hang out? Where do you go? Then go to those places. Go to those places and make friends.
Yeah.
Again, it's the long game. Look, we worked with a guy for, what was it, 2 years? Randy, you more than that, who had the long game on the con. Like
No. Long game on the grift.
on the grift, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
By con. He had the long game on the grift, man. Such commitment
Yep.
to hold up for that long. If we were as committed,
And to mess that many people over.
right, if we were as committed to building a relationship with our fans, no matter what our genre, no matter what we produce, no matter what our product, think about that. To invest every day in the people that will like your stuff.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I decided, since I needed to ink some pages, I might as well just do it live. I might as well just go live and hang out and chill like with the people and talk with them and just hang out with them, right? It's the same way that we want with our product, right? We want Hero Bot Zero not just in their hand as a comic book, but we want it on their t-shirts. We want it on their Saturday morning cartoons. We want it on their cereal box. We want it on their, we want it as a toy in front of them. We want Hero Bot Zero everywhere because it's a property that deserves to be everywhere, but people need to live with Hero Bot Zero, not just experience them through the book, right? It's why we have Hybrids the game, why we're doing hybrid shirts, and why we do dice sets, and why we do all this stupid tchotchke stuff that we do. It's so that people can experience this and engulf themselves in it daily. People need to experience you daily. Well, not all of you.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff you're putting out there too. When you're playing the long game, think about companies like Nintendo, right? Think about they're putting out characters and things that stand the test of time. And the reason that happens is because they put consistent content out there, and it changes up. It's new every time they put it out, but they're multi-marketing across all kinds of different genres: video games, comics. Like the Mario Brothers started out as a comic. My IP here that I'm displaying on the screen here, one of the characters from my book upcoming, I have a tabletop war game in development, and the comic book takes 300 years in the future of that same world, one being an idealistic fantasy about knights and all that wonderful stuff, this one being completely flipping on its head with an evil necromantic empire. And being able to create content of your characters across different mediums, whatever they may be, toys, games, card games, collectibles, whatever, is going to put you out there to all kinds of different audiences that might not be just interested in your comic book.
Right. Right. I like 24 Ice. I'm taking your idea. I'm actually going to figure it out today. Street Team works great. You can also make temporary tattoos with those barcodes. You should have some ladies cosplaying in bikinis in the code. Oh yeah, I've already got some ideas now. We're gonna have an Aero Comics store and a Fund My Comic QR code. Temporary tattoo. Stick that on there. Yeah, that'd be great. That's a great idea. Let's see, who else do we got going? We got looks like we got. Did we get someone new in the chat?
Woodrow?
Woodrow's been there. FMC Girls could be a thing. It could be.
Yeah.
It should be. And John says, yes, I know that's what should work. I get pissed off at newsletters that are just promotion. I also hate 60-minute YouTube commercials by comic creators, just promotion. Yeah, that's why we don't do a lot of shill. That's why our shilling here normally comes at the end. The real idea of the shill here is for people to get to know the individual behind the product. I find it's very important that when we have a guest, they have an opportunity to share their insights and their thoughts on things. Again, everybody has an opinion about everything. Mm-hmm. And so why not share your opinion? You might find that people don't like it, or you might find that people love it. And usually if some people don't like it, other people will love it. It's just how it goes.
Yeah, not everybody's going to agree on everything you say or everything you do, or even like your book or you're producing, but somebody will, whatever it is. Not everybody's going to be into into a horror comic. Not everybody's going to be into a comedy-based comic, and not everybody's going to be into board games, but maybe they're interested in comic books. And you do both, maybe you'll get some sales. Maybe through your games or through your comic books or through your videos or through your content or through little tips about marketing. They're going to find their way back to your products, and that is money in your pockets, my friends.
And that's another thing. Like, people are afraid of not being liked by everyone, and it's really hard to get an idea that gets liked by everyone organically. You know what I mean? Normally, when stories come from one person, it's like a story of one person. It's not going to be liked by everybody, but that shouldn't stop you from putting it out there. And a lot of people can go, but they're going to hate me. Like, more than likely they will.
Right.
Don't let that stop you, because in the end, you put the book out, you're gonna encounter fellow-minded people who we're waiting for a story like yours, and you're just not letting them have it because you're afraid. So.
Right.
Yeah, you can turn that hate into marketable content, just like Eric July.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But you got to think, how long was Eric July building his audience?
Around 10 years, I think.
Around 10 years. I mean, he did music. Mm-hmm. He's a very quite talented vocalist.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's quite good. But he built. People think it's like, oh, well, overnight he decided to make a comic book. Probably not overnight. Because he's been talking about comics for a long time.
Yeah, he's a huge comic book fan.
But
he had a pull list and everything.
10 to 15% of his audience is what's buying his book right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's average. That's what it is. Like, in email marketing, in email, you can expect 42%. Mm-hmm. Like, if you can get, like, there are models that show a 42% return on your dollar on each.
That's actually quite good.
That's amazing. I mean, that's an amazing. If you can manage it, if you can swing that. Mm-hmm. But again, it's that getting out there and getting contact with people and creating something of value that people are going to want based on.
Oh, my mistake there.
Yeah, I mean, really, you got to come down to it. It's like, well, I got to create something of value that people actually want. Mm-hmm. I don't know that anyone wants Andrew Tate's book.
There's
he's still his regardless of whether or not anybody in the comic book industry wants it, he's still
Mm-hmm.
going to at least break even with his stuff on that. I'm
Oh,
pretty
he's
sure.
going to make more than break
because,
even.
oh yeah,
He's going to make money. I mean, he's going to make money with that.
Yeah.
because he built up his brand, right?
Yeah, he has
His
a
brand is-
brand. And there are people that will support him no matter what he does.
Don't read books, buy my comics.
What a marketing strategy.
Yeah. Don't read books. Look at the pictures.
Yeah.
They're so amazing.
I apologize for the comment about Mario. I'm not going to get everything right,
Yeah.
and that's
correct.
okay. You're not going to get everything right. Sometimes,
Yeah, dude.
sometimes
Sometimes we skid on the banana peel.
You know, but honestly, though, Mario, like they were a board game, right? Company. And then they started doing the video game. And then Mario was on Donkey Kong, which was the most popular game.
Yeah.
Right? And so, yeah, it's that character, that image took over the
world.
Took over the world because of its connection with the fans.
Yeah.
Right? But that took time. It took people playing Donkey Kong and loving the character. And then when it was introduced to Super Mario, people liking that. Before, it was just this, you see Nintendo. But when I first saw the Nintendo logo, it didn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
People think that all the branding is all about, aesthetics and all, all of that stuff. You can actually create a brand without a logo. I don't know if you know this or not.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is you are trying to associate whatever it is that you produce with a value the customer holds dear.
Mm-hmm.
And you are the one that fills that gap. So they have their pains. They have their hurt, the thing that's the deficit. And you're trying to show that your product moves them from deficit into value. So that's what you're trying to do. And you can do that without a logo. Now, a good logo, good aesthetic will grab their attention right away.
Yeah.
But over time, you want them to recognize that it's not the... It's that the logo actually has something that it represents, the value, not just the company, right?
A logo without a brand is just a pretty graphic.
Right, yeah. And that's what we're running into right now with the book, the FMC book that Randy came up with.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, that's the value. Like the character changes. People make their own version of that with their character holding the book.
We want them to do that.
Yeah, we want them to do that because they are the brand.
Yep.
See, that's the thing. That's the tricky thing. With Fun My Comic, you are the brand, right? With Arrow Comics, the creators are the brand.
It's Fun My Comic. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's but it doesn't happen overnight. Now, you can have some overnight success with your branding, but it's not necessarily
Don't count on it, though.
going to happen overnight. Yeah.
Yeah, don't count on it. If it happens, woo! But
You can't always be first and best dressed. Sometimes it's never going to happen for anybody. But you can work on improving how it's presented, and you can build it up over time. You're not going to get everybody in your first. Sometimes you do it. Sometimes you right out of the gate you're the winning horse. But it does take time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not your first book. Maybe it's not your second book. Maybe it's not your third book. Maybe it's not your first IP or second IP. Sometimes it's the 10th IP. But that when it hits, it hits.
Yeah, dude.
And
You
you're
just
gonna
have to
see
be consistent and be out there and make it sustainable, in the sense that it's not only about making money; it's what you do with that money.
Yeah. Not everyone's going to like you.
Yeah.
You only need enough people to like your content and product to move forward. So I did some math, guys. I figured it out. 500. I need 500 consistent readers on my book hybrids to sustain that indefinitely. That doesn't seem like a lot, does it?
Not really. 500 out of 8 billion sold
Right.
in the world. Yeah.
I only need 500 people to become diehard fans of what I'm producing. to maintain it indefinitely. When you start thinking in terms like that,
Doesn't seem difficult at all.
it doesn't seem difficult at all. And so you think, well, what can I do to build relationship with 500 people? And how much is my time worth? Oh, man, Whiskey and I were talking about this. No, wait, it wasn't Whiskey and I. It was Craig. Craig and I were talking about this the other day. So people will, when it comes to the marketing their book and getting out there and being on shows, being in front of people, creating newsletters, creating content, they don't want to do it. Because they would rather do something else. Like golfing or fishing or softball is way more important to them than investing that time in their future product, right?
Softball.
So the question is, in the economy of time and attention, how much of your time and attention are you willing to dedicate to building relationship with strangers? That, my friends, is a thoughtful pause.
Yeah, and you can. It's not too hard to do that stuff, to get engaged with new people and put your stuff out there. You got people on Twitter, for example, that are promoting their own stuff, and a really easy way to get into meeting people is they give you a like on a comment. You can then follow them, and sometimes you get a follower back. Now they're checking out your stuff. You can, you see a creator that you like on the thing, and you don't know where to start. Promote their stuff, and eventually they're going to promote your stuff as well.
Right.
Maybe it's not the best way in the universe, but it's something you can do right away just to get out there, and that goodwill builds up, right? And get on the shows, get on the things, do your own streams, connect with people. You may not get your foot wet or, get your foot into the water, or you may not get in there right away, but if you do it consistently, eventually you're going to end up on a show like Fun My Comic, and making some waves.
Find your, get in these discords and gilded chats and just engage, engage every day. 24 Hours says, I want to know what Eric's post campaign numbers are. That's a good question. Looking at, because obviously marketing for a campaign and marketing for a long-term store are completely different. It is a slow burn on a long-term store. Campaigns are all about the fast influx of funding. You've got to approach it different ways. Speaking of creating value, I have a blurb worksheet or a pitch worksheet that I've worked out for people that are creating pitches for their comic books, and they're having trouble getting that really compelling blurb. If you follow this worksheet, follow that link, sign up for the mailing list, you will get a download for the worksheet. The worksheet's completely free. It's one page. You use that, you'll be writing better blurbs, I guarantee it.
That log line you're talking about, that blurb, is extremely important. It is everything you have. I personally am terrible at it, and I'm going to check that out and then study it, and I'll have a good log line, I hope. But even that, just that little fact that Luke's doing that's part of that marketing funnel, which we talked about earlier. You need to do stuff like that with your content and what you're doing. Whatever it is, you got to find ways of instructing and getting out there and making people interested in the things that you're doing. If it's something small, they're going to want more. And then when it gets something big, they're going to want all of it. Right? When it's that thing that works.
Yeah. Maverick says, memorizing a good elevator pitch isn't easy. It isn't. And that's why, that's why I made that blurb worksheet, so that you can make your elevator pitch through that. It should be simple. I got a couple things I want to show off before we leave.
There you go. Yeah. Let's do it. And God bless you for that, John.
As an experienced creator of a certain age, my goal is to pass on old school knowledge and storytelling that I know work but have been forgotten. You know what? That's very true. There are those older methods are coming back. Even if you have modern tools to replicate,
you just adapt it.
And understanding it and knowing it so that you can exploit it is so good too. Like, you gotta learn to exploit those things. So here we go. We've got Anvil Magazine's doing quite well.
Nice.
17 minutes left to go on this campaign. Oh, sorry, closed 34 minutes ago. My page hadn't refreshed. Hit 15.7. That one did pretty good, so that one just closed.
Awesome.
Yeah, that one was only over here. I think they're doing a cleanup on the pink site. Guys, check this one out. This is pretty neat. Flip City Magazine. You guys are going to enjoy this. Check it out.
Oh my God, there's a clown.
Oh, what the heck am I doing? That was on me, guys. Too edgy and vulgar for our audience.
No, this is 80s thrash metal.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
What I imagine Mad Magazine used to be like way back when it first started. Genuinely satirical and genuinely subversive.
Flip City Mag boys, this is our version of Mad Magazine. Look at that artwork. There you go. You know. You know that
Cool. Good on them.
8 bullet, 80 punches.
Very cool.
We taking back the print periodicals. We taking back the media, my friends.
I love Flip City. It has brought new types of badassery and integrity to the print medium. I hope everybody goes out and supports you guys and is part of the fun.
So here's an example. It's basically like a non-woke version of Mad Magazine, which a lot of people are probably familiar with.
They send you a tinfoil hat.
Yep, you're supposed to put a tinfoil hat on before reading. You know, it's not just about epic stories and that they can change your world and everything. Comedy is some of the most effective storytelling. We're all well versed on memes and mimetic imagery and all that kind of stuff. But basically, these are memes. These are magazines full of memes, but they're all original.
Genuinely cutting, but also funny and obviously just chaotic and very fun.
Dude.
Cool.
It's about somebody pick up that standard, man. I miss Mad Magazine so much. And yeah, dude.
It's not a bad price. You can get a digital for 10. 72 pages.
You know, they're doing the parodies. They're doing the... Oh, dude.
So they got crossword puzzles in there? This is the independent spirit, guys.
No.
This is what we do. This is the independent spirit. That's what we're... And Edge of the Blade. We had Alan on here a little bit ago.
Yeah.
Check this out. Well, there's only one backer. It's me. You guys need to be backers. Come on. Go over here and check this out. Exclusive. Back at any level to receive a free digital bonus track here on Fund My Comic. That was not the case on the other platform. Check this out.
Hi, my name is Alan Kelly and I'm one of the founding members of the British rock band Shy. Shy toured over the world through the 80s, 90s and into the 2000s and released over a dozen critically acclaimed albums, working with artists including Michael Bolton, Dokken and Meatloaf, and producers including Roy Thomas Baker and the multi-Grammy award-winning Neil Kernon. Since leaving Shy, I've continued to write and record with bands including 7 Hard Years, Reacher, and most notably Edge of the Blade. Edge of the Blade singer John Francis fronted the incredibly successful After Hours, releasing albums across 3 decades, from their debut in 1988 through to 2011's Against the Grain. We are joined by the terrific Miguel Angel Lopez on the lead guitar, and together, Edge of the Blade have been described as a melodic rock powerhouse. Things have changed in the music industry, and despite our past successes, label backing is not always easy to find and can be extremely restrictive, particularly for bands in the melodic rock genre. That is why we need your help for this, our 4th album. With so much more music we'd like to release, we have decided to go fully independent and explore new opportunities directly with our listeners. We hope you'll consider backing Trick of the Light, our latest album, and also the new pressing of our out-of-print previous album, Distant Shores. And please stick around for what's coming next. That's going to be really exciting. Please spread the word, and remember, it's only rock and roll, but I like it.
Yes, I do. I like the rock and roll.
Yeah, it's cool.
I've got a soft spot in my heart for 80s nostalgia.
Yeah.
And new music that's coming out that's that way, man, it gets me. I like it. This is very cool. I like that these guys are going out on their own, and it could be scary.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you start to make that move.
Have you ever been with a label, Luke?
Yes, I have.
Because I have, and in my experience, I felt like a parakeet in a cage.
Yeah.
Like they took me places, they fed me. But in regards of real money, I never saw like real money because my band never got that big. And it was just like all the money we were making was to pay them back.
Yeah, because they basically, how a label works is they give you a loan.
Yeah.
To cover the recording and tour expense.
And tour expenses. And
yeah.
I don't know. It was a really cool 2 years of my life, but I didn't see myself doing that as a living because saving was very hard. And not for me, man. Yeah. So if bands can make this viable, it would be awesome. Like, dude, like fund my tour, fund my record. You know what I mean?
You know, there's a way to do it. You know, and having come from a music background, initially. I mean, if I could, honestly, let's be very truthful. Mm. If I had the ability to play and sing still, I probably would not have pursued the Fund My Comic thing, and I wouldn't be doing the comics as hard as I am right now, because I probably would be out making money playing music. Either for a church or somewhere else, I would be making money playing music because it was easy money for me to make. Mm-hmm. But quite honestly, because I can't do those things, it's kind of pushed me in this direction.
Yeah.
Which I'm grateful for. I'm really enjoying what we're able to do.
Mm-hmm.
But having come from a music background, I feel like a lot of the same tools for publishing a comic work well for releasing music.
Yeah, exactly.
And some of the tools that we have with Fund My Comic could easily be used to help fund tours and things like that. I mean, I've got several ideas for networking that could work with it.
Yeah, there are different needs. There are different needs. Because, for example, like ideas I'm getting out of the top of my head, like, hey, you guys want to see it in let's just say, Texas, and you do like a focalized campaign for Texas, so you can take the band to play in Texas, like stuff like that, just like in a promotional level.
Yeah,
would be just freaking awesome.
Well, even 24 Hours is saying, you know, like tiny add-on books and things like that. You know, little promotional pieces. Like a little promotional comic for this band would be really cool. It'd be an opportunity for them to, you know, kind of expand a little bit more. But
do a short story, like Randy was saying.
Yeah, games, animation, all of this stuff. We have the ability, and the network is there. Like the network is there, and we've got such dedicated people that are in love with the site and what we're doing with it. I will tell you what the traffic numbers were month over month. So month over month for the last 28 days, our our views are up by. The page is loading. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Are up by 19.5%.
Yeah.
Month over month.
Nice. I have to answer Ruth because like he can see me in an 80s hair band. Like I did play it in a Motley Crue tribute band once, which was funny. Like I can play the songs, but I don't look the part. But nobody cared. It sounded good.
Comics with their own toy lines. I mean, we have so much capability.
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
Yeah. And there's so many people out there that are capable of doing these areas of specialization. I mean, it's just the sky is the limit, I think. The only thing that's holding people back is, number one, ideas.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not number one. Number three, ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, education.
Yeah. Know-how.
And number one, fear.
Yeah. Fear is a huge factor, man.
Mm-hmm. So that's what we got going on Fund My Comic. Don't forget, Out of Obscurity is still funding.
Yeah.
We haven't had any movement in a couple of in a minute on that one. It's been a slow week financially across the board for all of the sites. I've been kind of tracking where things are at, and not a lot of things are getting movement right now. I think it's because of post San Diego Comic-Con, and then another Tampa Bay was right after it, and so there's a lot of fatigue.
Yeah.
Well, some people are getting sick too recently. A lot of the from the con, I can see that. So
yeah,
yeah. There's a bug going around, and I caught it. I was in the hospital last week, man. It was crazy. It was nuts. But hey, with that, let's go ahead and start making our way out of here.
Yeah,
there's plenty of work to do. I've got a interview from my comic coming up at 3:00 this afternoon, and so we're gonna have a write up on Fund My Comics.
Where to? Where are you gonna be?
It's a phone interview, and it's a well-known columnist that is a contributor to a well-known conservative news site. So I'll just say that.
There we are.
Yep. I have no idea where the article will be released, but of course when it is, I will let everyone know.
Yeah.
So I've got that coming up. Randy, what you got going on, buddy?
Me? Well, waiting for a client to give me a check. That's been the big thing. But other than that, I'm working on stuff. Russ is currently doing. Well, I can give you the list here. Anyway, got colors coming in for Alice in Chains. That's being spectacularly done by Patrick Gamma. Can't wait to run the campaign on that. I've got stuff to do for Out of Obscurity that involve my little cartoon monkey. That's on the list. I've been looking at, I've got a HeroBot story that's been burning in the back of my head that I got to get down and start laying out on paper and start working on. Calico 2 is way overdue from having anything done on it. And Russ Leach right now is working on a adaptation of a short story that I adapted, a Robert E. Howard story that we're doing together. That'll be an Arrow comic here shortly. Within the next couple of months, we'll probably start the campaign for that. That is looking excellent. It's going to be a lot of fun to do. I get to do the letters on that. So
can't wait.
That's coming back. Yeah, can't wait. Lots of stuff going on.
Whiskey, what you got going on?
Plus, I should say this weekend I'll be at the really cool Comic-Con on Saturday and Sunday in Flint, Michigan.
Oh, cool.
So I'll be there. So stop by, say hello, buy some Arrow comics.
It's really cool.
On top of the podcast, that Friday morning, Comics by Night, 5 a.m. Eastern Time, and Sunday Funnies, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, out of the Indie Comics Network.
For you early birds out there.
Yeah. We talk about comics, all sorts of whimsical stuff. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. A lot of whimsy.
A lot of whimsy. Whiskey, what's going on, man?
All right, well, you got, I'm working on my first comic book ever. It's called Driftwood. It's a story about necromancers. There are no heroes in this book. It's going to be a fun trip with a comedic romp through a necromantic empire as they're expanding, or an expansionist empire, and they're going to be, taking over the world. And we get to see from a slightly different perspective than you might be used to in comics, which is based on a tabletop game I've had in development for several years now, called Bannersteed and Lance. One world is an idealistic sort of love letter to the Middle Ages, and low fantasy, low magic, more to do with knights. Whereas Driftwood, the comic book, is more about high fantasy, and the worlds are completely opposite in a sense. But it should be lots of fun, and I'm hoping you can check me out at Bandit and Ricochet on Twitter there, where if you want something made for like your own action figures for your books, your own miniatures, your own busts, anything to do with 3D modeling, I can help you out. And yeah, we'll get you hooked up.
Awesome. Pedro, what's going on, man?
Oh, well, I'm working on page 22 of Waifus and Kaijus. I'm sharing it right now. I'm 3 pages away from finishing the prologue. We're going to start the mailing list. So I'm doing the promotional material for that. This is the benevolent aliens reaching Earth and being confused for an attack force. So we're the U.S. is scrambling the F-22s from NORAD. And yeah,
it's beautiful, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice action-packed stories. And don't get me, the waifus are coming, guys. Like, it's 25 pages of prologue, and then it's all ladies.
How many total pages you got going on this?
It's going to be 80 pages.
Okay.
For Waifus and Kaijus. I want to be at 60% of the work done before launching. So we're going to do like 3 months of sign-up, and then we're going to launch the campaign and fund my comic.
Awesome. Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah, that's man, it looks great. It looks great, dude.
Thanks, man. I'm having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah. I've got a video premiering today at 3 something, I think. If you're into contracts.
Yeah.
We've got about a 26-minute video that's coming up today that will help you understand and navigate contracts a little bit more. Thank you so much for helping with that, Pedro.
Fascinating topic.
Fascinating topic. Necessary topic, though, for us to be able to get the job done. And wait till I do the video on taxes.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I can't. Yeah,
because you got to register. But I'm going to do a video on how to register your LLC. And do it the right way.
Yeah.
It's so important that we do that, man. We got to get it done the right way. You got to put in the work. It is a long haul game.
Yeah.
That we're doing here, guys. It's been fun today. Thanks for hanging out with me.
I can do that accountant video in 3 words.
Yeah.
The one on taxes. I can do that video in 3 words. Get an accountant. There you go.
Accountant. Yep.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's a given. You need to have an accountant.
That was a painful lesson.
Ouch.
I don't do as good on that stuff as what I should with the printing and filing all the receipts. I say everything digitally, but it's like.
Well, the old expression is true. Don't F with the IRS.
Oh, no.
They'll get you.
Get an accountant, pay your taxes, stay above board.
Unless you have an escape plan to Latin America, don't mess with
I'll just come room with Pedro.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're all partying at Pedro's house.
Yeah, no, dude, there's several Americans that have to do just that.
Yeah, you can hang out with Pedro. I was like, I stole money from the IRS.
No, not stealing money, just like owing some.
Very fun.
Some past dues to the
Oh man, I'm loving this. Look at this contest for FMC Girl, then an FMC Girl calendar. Then the FMC Girl of the Year goes on convention tour. Man, I'm loving this. Like now I need to get somebody in charge of working on getting the FMC Girls.
Like the Donald Trump of comics. Yeah, we own the pageant. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be huge. Yeah. We're gonna make Marvel and DC pay for it.
Pay for it. Yeah. The most gorgeous ladies. DC's gonna
the best looking ladies. It's I don't know, man. I don't know. Do you think Donald Trump's gonna win again? No idea. Do you think he's gonna be out of jail?
I'm not American, so I don't know.
You think they're gonna finally get him in jail on one of these indictments?
It's
so funny. People are like, he's been indicted. I'm like, you don't understand. Like an indictment is like that's not.
You get enough people in the room, enough like-minded people in a room, you can get indicted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just it's an accusation. It's not.
Now, whether it actually goes to the courts, that's a whole different matter. Whether there's an actual crime committed, that's a whole different matter as well.
I think people think that the indictment is is a
Like a
charge of the
lapidating,
crime.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's an accusation of the crime
Mhm.
that will then be looked at by people to
jury of the
determine if
state.
there was a breach of the law.
So much of the media is bait and switch anymore. They're trying to distract you, and the orange man is a nice bright target to distract you from the actual things happening in the world.
Look,
So,
they want you to look at the aliens.
open your
So what's
mind
really
Yeah,
look.
that and
Yep.
UFOs, exactly.
Yeah, if they're like, hey, look at the UFOs. Like, seriously, what's going on?
Yeah.
Well,
right.
all of those meetings is a chance for all of the military to get more money to make us more afraid, and to justify spending more money on more things. So
I think their goal with the indictment thing is not necessarily just to get him into prison, but to get him in legally in hot water enough to get him off the ballot.
Yeah, like make him unelectable. Yeah.
The game.
the problem is that it works exactly the opposite, because people love an underdog and they love a martyr.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So
there are
you make
rules.
one, and you'll see a lot of sympathy spring up.
Like if he stays on the ballot, though, if they get enough to get him off the ballot.
Every time they indict him, every time he hits the
Comes back
news,
stronger,
more people go, haven't we heard enough? What's wrong? What's up with this guy that everybody has to persecute him? And it's gone from prosecution to persecution at this point. And there's so many people out there that are starting to look twice at him every time they say he's getting into more trouble. And it's so obvious out there that there are people being targeted by different organizations because they're not like-minded.
They're going to Streisand effect this guy is what's going to happen. And I'm like, guys, you just, people are stupid.
Yeah, and on that note,
with that, remember, it's so much easier to tear down than it is to build up. So please, go out and build something up, make life a little bit better for somebody today.
Hating ain't creating.
Hating ain't creating. And leave that wood pile higher than you found it. By all means, be careful out there.
Be careful.
Let's be careful out there. Let's be careful out there. We had a 187 at the 7-Eleven on the corner of 4th and Main. Two Caucasians of the male persuasion put a bullet through the cashier's brain. Moving on, I see a 211, half a dozen 459, 280 W's a GTA, and several miscellaneous crimes.